Well, hello there. It is another day, and I've been working pretty darn hard. I've been getting pretty far into the Rust book now. I actually have 5 tabs on here. It's kind of funny. My green screen cuts out this tab right here, which I'm touching. It looks like I'm touching midair, but look, my finger disappears behind it. I'm a magician. Anyways, we're gonna do some Rust programming today, and look at Linux utility. I think we have a lot of pull requests that we can look at. In the Rust book, I've got a couple more chapters. Big developments there is functions, understanding function returns. Those have been really cool. In the past stream we talked in the Linux Toolbox, we had an issue where the preview, when you hit P to preview the script that's about to be run, and you hit enter, in the preview window it run. But we did a modification with Twitch's help, or the chat's help, and a lot of times that worked, but I didn't quite understand why it would return none for enter until I read that chapter, and then it dawned on me. I'm like, oh, and that's why there was no semicolon after it. It's what was actually getting returned was none. So there's some things that get really, the functions chapter was really enlightening for me. I learned that. And then also when you call a function to set a certain variable, that little arrow thing in Rust at the very top during the declaration of the naming of the function, understanding that. And then if you see like an exclamation arrow, that can mean a function macro. There's a lot of little nuance to Rust. It's a very unique programming language, but I like it. I'm starting to come around on it. I think at first I was like, weird. I'd honestly all C programming up to this point where I was like, oh, this makes more sense. C, that is. But I mean, I'm starting to come around a little bit on Rust, and the loops and nested loops and those types of things I also got into a little bit. So I have a base understanding, I'd say, of those things now. So a little bit better. I still am a noob, but I thought I'd give everyone a nice little update. So that's it. No micro win today. I was going to do a micro win stream after the Tuesday stream, which we actually were on the front page of Twitch, which was a little bit insane having like several thousand people watching you all at once. But it was really good. I really enjoyed that opportunity. But it'd probably be a lot more chill today. So kind of cool. And we'll get through, see what we get through today. I have no idea what to expect out of this. I guess we could pull up the old pull request here, and let's see what we even are working with, because I am actually kind of curious what people have submitted. I haven't actually done any research before starting the stream. I was like, oh gosh, it's getting late, and I wanna look at it. We got 19 different code reviews that we could take a peek at. A lot of Linux utility. I will say, Win utility, a lot of people know what to expect from it, and they've seen what was been denied, what's been accepted. I've done a lot of videos. Hey, this is how you contribute. In Linutil, it's way more Wild West. You get a lot of pull requests, and I'd say more than 50% of the pull requests are, I'm not going to say bad, just not in the same way I'm thinking about going in this project. So as a project's like really young, such as the Linux Toolbox, it is harder to get pull requests accepted by me because it just might not jive with my vision or where we want to take it, or maybe I just don't understand your code and I end up denying it because you're just simply smarter than me. All these things are definitely a reality. And that's why you're going to see a lot more denied pull requests on Linux Toolbox compared to the Windows one. But man, am I having a good time with it. And let's see, what do we have? Using the escape key to escape. That seems like a good idea. Getting sysinfo on command start and export it to the scripts. I don't know on that. What's that? Instead of having to rely on every script having to import common script, it's very easy to do that and running the variables to a temporary shell. I'm hoping this will also reduce. Now, this was actually already submitted by another user, I believe, in the actual launch of the script. Yeah. Package names are very different between distros. It's not particularly a good idea in general. I kind of agree with LJ here. The execution is particularly not good either. Failure to find package manager should not result in a panic. Interesting. You've also rewritten the standard function and allocated a few strings for no reason. Oh, dang, getting called out. I gotta love open source. It's brutal, but I love it. Always something to learn. But also reading the comments between these, even if it's, let's say, a bad pull request, which I'm not 100% convinced this is a bad pull request. We haven't even looked at the code. I just like to read the comments, kind of knowing what's going on before jumping into the code. You can learn something because, frankly, both of these, if they're actually programmed longer than a month in Rust, probably know more than me in Rust. So it's kind of interesting to see different approaches. Now, let's say I look at that and I'm like, nah, not my approach, but I could still glean and learn things from a pull request even if I end up closing it. So I still appreciate all the contributions, especially as I'm learning it. Let's see. This is the first time writing Rust. Okay, so maybe I do know more than him. So I'm not surprised I made mistakes along the way. As far as the variable goes, wouldn't using eval work? Isn't recommended for security purposes. It's probably better to split that command out. LJ is interesting because LJ, I know, is more of a, I don't know if he's a seasoned Rust developer, but he's familiar with it. And more so, LJ understands Linux based on most of the past pull requests I've gotten from him. So, or Liam is his name. So I'll just call him Liam. So I know he knows a lot about Linux because he saw one where he's like, that's not POSIX compliant because they were switching out like dots for sources. They were doing local variable definitions in Bash. And he understood, which is not Rust at all. That's just Bash scripting. He understood that's Bash specific and it should be more agnostic and POSIX compliant, which would require those changes. And he actually wrote a comment, what was it, a couple weeks ago, I think, about that. So that's why I hold Liam's comments in pretty high regard because I haven't seen anything that bad from him yet. And I say yet because everybody ends up making a stinker. It's just part of creation of code. You will, I look back on all the code I've created, and usually when I come back to old code after about a year or so, I look at it, I'm like, oh, God bless. Chris from a year ago is a complete moron. This is written all wrong. And then I want to rewrite all that stuff. So big plans of refactoring usually enter my mind as soon as I enter old code. All right. Is there a danger SSD, otherwise dual booting Linux with Windows? I always separate them out in drives. If you're real familiar on how to repair boot partitions, I guess it doesn't matter. You could put it on the same drive. I don't recommend it. I never recommend that, but it's a little bit of a headache even when I do it, and I'm very familiar with boot partitions and quite good at repairing, removing, rebuilding all of the things with a boot partition, as I've done it a lot in the past 20 years, both in Windows and Linux. Mac, not so much. Mac is kind of its own thing, though. Going to install Arch with Home on a separate drive soon. Can't wait. Starman, it's a fun one. If it's your first Arch, it'd be great. If I wanted to clear Windows and go Linux, total noob, what would you recommend? Ooh, I don't know if you want to go complete one to the other. One does not simply just walk into Linux and use it full time, especially being a complete noob. There's just so many different ways of doing things in Linux compared to Windows that you can't, just because you're good in Windows does not mean it correlates to being good in Linux. So that's the big thing. Just because you're a power user or you're very technically inclined in Windows does not translate to Linux at all. So it's a whole different skill set, and you're gonna be like a baby deer fresh out of your mother's womb, just stumbling around, breaking things when you jump into Linux for the first time. So I never recommend a clean switch, a clean break in using Linux full time. It always ends in disaster usually, no matter the user, especially power users. So I always recommend a second drive, a VM, Raspberry Pi, all those are really good to learn on. And then once you get a little bit of your Linux legs under you, then I say, all right, now it's time to dual boot. Now it's time to really throw a second drive in there and really kind of start messing with stuff. And then once you're like, man, I really like this, then that's when you might think about making the switch. What do you find good about DWM? My Hyperland brain doesn't get why you use something like it. DWM is simple. It's a suckless philosophy. It does one thing and it just does it well. I don't ever have to worry about things breaking or changing or any of that. And that's why I like DWM. It's not the most sexy thing. You can make it look pretty good. I like my DWM fairly well. But if you put it next to a riced out Hyperland's going to look good, even better. It's not so much about the look of it. It's more of just how it feels and the functionality of it. From a functionality standpoint, if I'm missing something, I know I can patch it in, which means the only thing limiting in DWM is my brain. If Hyperland's missing a feature, well, I probably could reach out to Vaxtree and be like, hey, dude, can you code this in and then add like a configuration feature for it? And then, I'm waiting on him to do that if that exists or if I'm missing something, which he probably would add that feature if I asked him to. So it's not to say Hyperland's bad. I think Hyperland's actually a great starting spot and probably a better starting spot for most people. But it's still a pretty young project, and it's not going to be as stable or reliable as DWM. Full stop. But it's not going to look as pretty either. So, are you just learning Rust, or is this another, let's write everything in Rust because it's a secure project? No. I'm learning it, Primate. It's and I think we should have a chat about a few things on learning online. There is a misconception among, I think, pretty much everybody, and I'm sure there's just gifted individuals that just get things and are just naturally great. And I think we all like to fantasize that we're that person. Well, I want to tell you that's not how most normal people work. And I'm a pretty normal person. I don't consider myself exceptional. I just consider myself, I have the ability to smash my head into a wall until the wall gives. I have that ability. That's my superpower. And if I want something bad enough, I will sit there and try 1,000. And if the 1,000 things don't work, I will try 1,000 more. I am just very persistent. So I say all this to say, I am not going to be like a Primogen in a year. You're going to come back to this stream in a year, and I'm still going to be probably pecking around. I'm probably still going to be using some old cursor, You're still probably going to be like, oh, God, Titus. Whew. But I will be learning a little bit each time. And at the very beginning of the stream, I like to kind of look back on what I've already coded and then pick out little gems that I've learned along the way. And those little things eventually compile and then become something bigger. But you can't learn Rust in 24 hours. I would even say you can't learn Rust in 30 days. And I'd even go as far to say I will be okay after a year of doing this. And I'd say okay, just being like, I can write a basic Rust program, but as soon as we hit like a GUI and we're pulling in libraries, I'm going to be very much still flailing around like someone that just got thrown in the water and that doesn't know how to swim. And I'll probably end up making my way to a good project, but I would probably not say I would be I'll probably be a decent, if I keep at it, decent programmer, meaning I could probably go out and get a job writing Rust after 5 years. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but the idea behind this is if you really, and I want to say, like, I think you should be better than 90% of the people out there. And I think a 5-year marker for me for learning and being really good, that's probably the time frame we're looking at here. So yeah, there's not going to be a YouTube video that says I learned Rust in 30 days, or if it is, it's just going to be probably clickbait. because there's just so much to learn, so much muscle memory and things you need to learn to be able to be decent at it. And I think that's just the name of the game. And I just want to tell people that that's just how us normal people learn. So don't expect me to be just amazing here in a little bit. You won't be Primogen because you'll be using Visual Studio Code. True. But maybe, I mean, if I got really familiar with it, I probably could switch to Vim and write my own functions and things of that nature. Being really good depends on what really good actually means. True, Big Linter. We'll see. Have you seen Glaze WM's Rust rewrite after being released? No, I haven't. I liked Glaze WM, but in the end, I was just like, nah, it's costing me time and not saving me time. And I was like, I'll just do the old stock Windows experience. But I do expect you to be amazing. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Check back in 5 years and then go, hey, here's a clip from 5 years ago. I love to see the progress, because a lot of times as you're doing it, it never does feel like you're making that much progress until you start looking back on old code from like 6 months ago and you're like, oh, geez, yeah, I have learned quite a bit. Never compare yourself to anyone else when yourself is good enough. Yeah, I would probably revise that and say, compare yourself to your old self. Compare yourself to you 1 month ago. How have you improved? I think that's the big thing. Always be competing against yourself and then doubling down. And on when you set goals, make sure you set goals that you can internalize as well. So probably the best goal I've ever set was YouTube. 5 years ago, I started YouTube, and I was like, hey, these kids are killing it on YouTube. I can do that. I mean, look at these 20-year-olds making tech videos. I've been doing this for 20 years. I can do that. Well, little did I know. I don't know jack about audio, and I don't know jack about video at the time. So pulling up my little Razer headset and webcam, old Titus had some bad videos at the very start there. I left them up on the channel. If you sort by oldest, you can see them. But what I did, and to reiterate my point about just smashing my head against the wall 1,000 times until something works, I made about 100 YouTube videos around the time I hit 100 subscribers, because my idea was I need to get in some reps. I need to get in some practice. So I made 100 videos, and every single video I looked back on, and then I made another video that was just a little bit better than the last video and go, oh, you know, the lighting sucked. The audio is terrible. I bet I can tweak that and get it a little bit better. And then I just kept doing that cycle over and over and over again. So you can apply this to everything. And that's why, how you can do it. And that's how you start. Oh, YouTube's dead. Oh, no. Yeah, sometimes YouTube's weird. I don't know why it lags like that sometimes. But it'll come back, I'm sure. Like you got CTT, LTT, and ZTT. Yeah. Yeah, so great. Yeah, we'll definitely get to Titus Pi for sure. I don't know enough about core dump. I haven't seen that. All right, sweet. Well, let's go. All right, so now we've checked in with chat. We've kind of gone back and forth. Let's see what our first order of business here with this. It looks like LTT's making some implementation changes. Thanks again. He's checking in with that. Okay, let's approve and run. See what the changes look like. Let's look at the file changes. Info sh for the commands, sysname for the distro, sysid. So he's setting these. Oh no, he's just echoing that with an info command. All right, we'll see. He's probably going to call this at some point in time, probably at the beginning of the script or something. The list command, that's just the system info. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. The main sh, that's the mod sysinfo, so just adding that. Running command, just adding super system info. It does look like he might be pulling system info from a Rust library. This is about to get a little interesting. Okay, that is really interesting. Rust apparently has a library that grabs the package manager. I've never used that. Cool. So then for the system info mod, Rust, this is a brand new file. Setting the distribution. So this function might be called from the libraries that he added on. Let's see what other functions he has. Git package manager. is an interesting concept. I never thought about actually doing it using this method directly in Rust. I do like the idea of it. And then we're also adding a package manager's RS, DNF install command SY, update command SYU, uninstall command RS. He's missing the package manager for OpenSUSE. Well, Zipper's there, but there's, I want to say there's some other commands. There's some unique things that happen with OpenSUSE that we've already kind of worked through in Bash. That could get messy. I like this, but I don't want to close it. I think I'm going to revisit that. Let's keep going. Yeah, I could add one for XBPS as well. Isn't that void? Yeah, right now, Kang, we're using a common script. So how this is done right now, if you look at our common script, which I kind of like it in common script because more people can look at it, because a lot of Rust devs might not have Linux experience, and a lot of Linux people don't have Rust experience. And you kind of need both to make these changes. Where is my common? Maybe it's commands. Common script. So right now, here's what we're doing. We have XBS install, we have nixenv, we have yum, yum and DNF, or your rel-based distros. You have Zipper, which is your OpenSUSE, Nala and apt-get, which is your Debian Ubuntu's. So that's what we have there. So when you do a check env, all that gets called. We're setting a package manager, checking if the current directory is writable, checking super user, and then checking the distro and grabbing the release from etc os release. So that's the basic common script that we have right now. And this gets, I think, are we still doing a concatenation? I can't remember if we changed that in the last one or not. Let's take a peek at the running command. And are we concatenating it? Oh, let's see here. Maybe it was under list, actually. I think we did. All right, so this is called command raw, command local file. And I think we're going to start building in some of these. I don't know how much we're going to build directly into the actual Rust file itself. The idea behind it is it wouldn't contact anything in GitHub, but I do like some of the modularity, having multiple different repos for different things, like setting up the bash prompt the way I like it. It does look like this was rewritten the last time in our last stream using the command, so I don't think that's doing a concatenation. Man, raw file, that none directory. I was just looking up and seeing if it takes us to where that command's being done, but anywho. All right. If you build a GUI version of Linutil, what toolbox would you see? Now, this is kind of interesting too. Let me show you this other PR, because there's another one in here that's kind of open that is really interesting. Did it get closed or not? It was like getting workshopped. And, well, shoot, it might have been closed. Oh, Afonso got us a big refactor. That'll be fun to go through as well. Yeah, it was really interesting. Global theming and some fixes. That'll be a good one. Colorblind, add suckless programs. Yeah, there's so many different ones here. Now, I don't see it here. Let's go to closed and see what we have. Because someone did submit a PR the other time, and it was kind of a really neat PR. Speaking of actually GUI look, tabular type. Yeah, this is a little prototype. Soapy Dev was the one that kind of made it. But check this out. This is kind of an interesting spin. Now, obviously, it's a bit on the, I think he runs probably like a 1440p monitor, or just has really small text, because my old man eyes are having trouble with that. But the idea is to have these different tabs and then have it in here. You have mouse movement and other things, but it also could default back to CLI if you're running it in like a console. So very interesting. But good answer. Good question there, Daz. All right. So this is like just an idea from a UX, but the sky's the limit here. I'm not too concerned with it. A lot of times we're just looking for basic functionality. So I don't want to like jump the shark and immediately go with like a giant UI when we really haven't gotten the base. The base is there, but let's launch this just so you can see where we're at. Always good to start with that. So let's do a git pull, make sure we're up to date. And we'll just do a start sh. So this is what our toolbox is right now. We have a full system update, which I like to just start out every mirror or every single stream with a hot full system update of Arch, which is a little bit on the aggressive side, but can be very entertaining when things break. We'll see. But this is fun. Yeah, this build process, usually once we get to the AUR, we have a couple AUR packages, mainly like Chatterino and things like that. But we also have separation of categories. We have a full search feature with just a / which is like Vim bindings to look at stuff. So this is pretty good. And I'm already using it a little bit when I'm setting up systems. I think the other day I was like, hey, let's try it out. And it did pretty good. If you want some more fun, have Arch auto update. Thank me later. Oh, star. That's brutal. We also have a flat pack upgrade on this full system update as well. If you've ever used something like Top Grade, this is kind of like a built-in Top Grade, so to speak. I think it was Top Grade or Top Gear. I can't remember the project that updates everything. That one's a little too aggressive. That's why I don't like using it. Artix was fun, Zach, whenever I did it. So I've always enjoyed Artix. So anyways, there's our full system update. We got our applications here. This will set up the application as it is for anytime you've seen a video and I have one of these applications I'm using. These are just my configurations that I enjoy. The other big thing here is security, which is like an old UFW script. I think that needs to be added and changed. The next thing, global theme fixes like dark light mode between Qt and GTK applications globally. So you just press that and then it'll sync Kvantum, Qt, CT, and then full-blown etc environment variables, and then make sure anytime you launch, like, so you have like Thunar, which is GTK, I think, and then like you look at like Dolphin, which is Qt. You can see the theming's a little different, but not terrible. It's pretty close, and it is still a dark theme, so you no longer have that jarring breakage of theming across different tool sets, which is nice. Alacrity or Kitty? I like Alacrity. I'm finally come around on Alacrity, where Kitty I rocked for a long time. Kitty's easier to set up, but Alacrity is a lot faster. Kitty also is a little more dependent on your GPU. I think it utilizes it a little bit more. So when I was using Kitty on Raspberry Pis, it was very tricky. I had to do some workarounds to get it to work, where Alacrity I think is just much faster and also more compatible with more systems. So I've come along and joined the elite master race of Alacrity users, and that's why I like it. And then you could just use console or Terminator. I think. What else do we have in there? Oh no, I never did do like a Terminator type setup. I mean, Terminator is all GUI based, so it doesn't even matter. I think that's honestly very user independent. But if you do Bash, you can see Bash. You can do searches. You can do updates, all that with that, and just Q to quit. So that's where our current starting spot is with this. Last time I saw a benchmark, Kitty was faster. Every benchmark I did, Alacrity came out about 3 times faster than Kitty. Not even close. It was not even close. I never did the microwin stream, so Snoop will have to do the microwin next week. Can you add a status bar script like my bash one to linutil? Yeah, we can do that. How do you even benchmark a terminal? I think we did it live on stream, and we basically, I think, like catted a big file. So what you could do, I think we DD'd a file. You could like DD out file and then equal, test, and then fill it with like, I think for the IF, I think you can do like equals like dev rand, I think it was. I can't remember exactly how we did it, and then block size. We set it up like that. So we just basically created a test file, and then we just did the benchmark and just said time cat and then the command, and then just see how long it takes to run that command, and then that terminal would be faster at ingesting all that zeros and ones basically. And then, okay, that's the faster terminal. Having said that, you're splitting milliseconds here when we're talking about this stuff. So it's not like, oh my God, this is so much better. But it's a little bit noticeable when you're really paying attention to big operations. Yeah. I think it's dev u random. You're correct there, Safar. In your DWM script, how do you make all workspaces show up like in a fresh DWM install? I think that's a patch that was done on DWM. I think we have a DWM Titus fixed and ready. What was this one? Let's see. So this is the DWM install under application setup. And then I think this one is pretty good actually. Looking at it, I don't think you need to do the common script at the top. That's actually done by defaults. Let's verify that real fast. So we'll go to application setup and you can see, oh no, it is needed there. All of them have the common script that's called at the very beginning. Okay, interesting. So most of them have the function set right here. Then usually there's a check environment and then the call. You can see that as we go through each one, this is my Rofi setup, check environment, then setup Rofi. And just the check environment sets your package manager and all the sensible stuff, which is cool. But eventually we might come back. That first PR we looked at was just a little bit different. Doing it without a common script and just doing it with Rust and Rust libraries and setting those variables on a run. I can see the benefit in that. So I'm still grappling with it. It's not a decision I really want to make right now, though. Something I want to think about. I recently did the 1 billion row challenge in Rust. The task is to read 13.8 gigabyte file with lines of weather data. Oh, that's interesting. Nice. Well, congrats, Cobb. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's look at some other PRs here. I do like this one. This one looks pretty straightforward. You just have a basic bash script here, and then we're just adding the list module for a DWM setup. And during that setup process, where is it doing? CD home, and then it just clones that to install DWM Titus. The path could be changed to like Linux Toolbox directory, but honestly, going from home DWM Titus, I feel like that should be in your home folder. I think that's fine. And then sudo, and then setup, and then sudo make clean after the setup. Now, I think the setup script might call that. Having these multiple nested scripts is going to be a little bit of a headache. Overall, though, I do like this PR. I think we will accept it. Is it perfect? No, but it's something I've wanted to be added to the Linux utility. We'll probably need to refine it a little bit as we figure out that, because I know the DWM setup script itself needs to be refined as well. But we'll go ahead, squash merge, and let's just pull that down. And finally, I'm not doing any kind of compile here either, so all right, we'll just do a cargo run. So now we have the DWM. Now, this is gonna bug me. Like, what's up with the, okay, let's fix that. That's just a little bit off. Maybe we make a different function to alphabetize this as well. Probably recommend it. Let's go and move this up right here. Yeah, I know. It's okay. Just gonna clean that up so we have that. How do we feel about this setup word after each file? It's a bit redundant, right? I feel like you go into applications node and it should just list these. The setup is not needed, I'd say. Right? Applications. Yeah, we can leave it there. That's fine. I like that better. I think that's just a little bit cleaner, less redundant. All right, now cargo run. We go into application setup. Now we just have simple, to the point. Windows Terminal is kind of an interesting tidbit. I don't think you can compare it to Alacrity or Kitty, but I always end up using Windows Terminal just because of the shenanigans Microsoft does. Microsoft has a tendency when it comes to any operating system, not just Windows, but Linux as well. They have a tendency to, I don't want to be that guy to be like extend, you know, enhance and extinguish or whatever the triple E's was. But a lot of times what Microsoft does is they'll enter in a space, there'll already be established products for the space, other terminals and other things there, and they'll make their own version. And usually their version's a little bit worse than everything else on the market. So in this case, Alacrity or Kitty in Linux would obviously be way better. Alacrity and Kitty in Windows is a different story because there's all this built-in knowledge at Microsoft that's not necessarily shared with the rest of the world. You can see this in so many different cases, and frankly, they've been sued to death for the monopoly that they have. But what it does is it means there's some functions that Windows Terminal just has because of the internal knowledge that Microsoft does. So I would never really use anything but Windows Terminal in Microsoft Windows because of that fact. I know eventually there's going to be something that Microsoft does that breaks all the other terminals that I might use. And then I'll be like, crap, let me load up Windows Terminal. And then that's why I just kind of cut that out. I'm just so jaded from Microsoft's past that you're just better off if you're in Windows. You just need to bow down to your God, the Microsoft software suite. And that's that. And if you don't want to do that, well, start learning Linux. And then move. Making Windows functional is, you can do it. You can totally make Windows functional. You can totally fix it to where it's not terrible. But in the end, you're still at the mercy of Microsoft. And you can do a lot of the stuff, but there's so many workarounds and there's just so many shenanigans that's going on with Microsoft Windows that finding out about all the shenanigans is the hardest part. Once you find out about the shenanigans, most of them can be remedied or at least negated in some form or fashion. But it's not an easy or straightforward thing. Where Linux, sometimes you just can't do stuff in it, and most times it's a skill issue. But there's other times where just pieces of software don't work in it. So that's it. What's your upload live days? I'm usually live streaming in the afternoon and I'm Central Time, so I'm in Texas. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So that's usually my stream scheduled now going forward. We just added Monday back, or really for the first time. So now we're doing 3 days a week live streaming, just because I really just enjoyed this side of things. And I am making a lot less YouTube content, but I do enjoy working on these projects. It feels like as I push forward, people can take the projects and fork them and do their own thing if they want to use them for business or they want to use them everything. All my projects are MIT licensed, so you can take my projects and do whatever you want with them. And I love that. And I also love the contributions because I'm able to learn more stuff. I know it's probably not conducive from a financial standpoint, but I think learning the skills is more important than necessarily the money. I'm at a point in my life where I'm just like, hey, I just want to learn as much as I can while I can before I get too old. And then I'm like, you know. Can you add the Thunar file manager app into LinUtil? I think Thunar really is, I don't really have any custom Thunar stuff. Let's take a peek. I don't think, at one point in time I did like a copy to clipboard. Yeah, I don't think I really have anything extra here. All right, let's open it with Vim. So open terminal here. That is actually something I added. And then copy image to clipboard, which I don't have in here yet. Oh, so I did do this. Okay, so I do have a couple little unique things with my Thunar. Copy image to clipboard. I like doing this. What it does is it actually opens up the image and then just does a blank copy of it. So then if I want to take that and put it on like a website or embed it into a markdown, all I need to do is just a quick hotkey, and in my NeoVim configuration, I have a specific function to ingest any image on my clipboard directly in, make a file, drop it into the proper spot for my website, and then just all with one push of a button. So I just do copy image to clipboard, flip over to NeoVim, and then do it out that way. So that's why I use that. So pretty specific use case, but there's other use cases while having that's kind of nice. And then this actually should be Alacrity now. Oh, so it opened in Kitty there. So let's reopen. Okay, now it opens in Alacrity. So a little minor change. And I don't know. What do you all think? What does chat think about my Thunar configurations? SCM, I'm not sure what SCM is. What is that? I think SCM is not really needed. I don't ever remember making any changes. So this will be stock generation. This file is automatically accelerated map dump. Okay, so not needed. And it looks like everything's commented out anyways. So the big thing here is the UCA XLM from the config Thunar. I don't even have any other changes. I just pull in the theming based on your theme, and there's no really configuration. So really the only thing I do is the open terminal here. Adding that is kind of nice. And then if there's an image, which let's do that real fast, you can right click it, and then there's now a copy image to clipboard button. That's really the only configurations. Does everyone use OBS for streaming? Yes. And yes, there's other options, but they're no good options. OBS is what you use. If you have a problem with OBS, well, the other options are complete dog poo, and you shouldn't use them. So learn OBS, love OBS, stream with OBS. There is no other streaming software that you should use, nor would I ever recommend anything other than OBS. There's just OBS, and then imposters, copiers, profiteers, and terrible, terrible, terrible pieces of software that's not OBS. So use OBS. The go-to used to be XSplit. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I used XSplit for a hot second and I was like, this is garbage. Oh man. And then there's the people that got suckered in using slobs. Ugh. I don't even know how slobs didn't get sued by OBS. OBS is probably like, we just don't want to mess with that. Okay. So that's good. I liked that pull request. Pretty easy. What else jumps out as? Add ZSH install option. Probably should do this. We'll probably need to do a rewrite, but heck, let's just pull it in and see what we got. All right. What do we have? Let's just resolve some conflicts here. How about it? List RS. Yeah. So you have all of that. Oh, this is old. Let's see. Let's just grab that guy. And so we have bash prompt set up. Did I double up here? Do we have two DWMs? What happened? Huh. Did we not submit? I thought we did. No, we did not. Oh, all right. Now that should be fine. Up to date. Good. Cool. Let's just refresh, wipe out what we changed. Now we can fix it. I don't use DWM blocks or Waybar. Stock. 100 kilobit DWM file. So everything you see here is 100 kilobyte binary. Nothing else. Why? Why change from this beautiful, beautiful, simplistic setup? So literally, that one file has everything. My config, the whole works. So I don't mess around with setting my status bar up. Any of that. It's just DWM. That's all I have to worry about. So I love it. We are using SL status, so way to call me out a little bit. SL status is pretty minimal. I thought about just integrating it directly in DWM. We might actually do that. That might be fun. So we could do that. All right, let's change this. Also, WDAS, thank you for the prime. So let's start and edit this file again. Or no, cancel. Let's first just work through the, where am I? Come on, focus, Chris. I am not in the right path. Come on, back here. Here we go. All right, let's just fix up our resolutions. Resolve complex. All right, now we're good. So ZSH option. Let's just copy that guy. And then we're just going to come down into here. DWM past Rofi. Let's give it a little comma. Paste that guy in there. Oof, a little bit rough on the landing. Oh, nope. Cancel. Fat finger and everything today. Let's tab that over, huh? Now we have that guy. I know I'm driving people crazy editing in their browser, but that's okay. All right. So we'll have setup ZSH in prompt. Actually, again, words are bloat. Only say what you need as I babble on for 2 hours. Oh, man. Install ZSH.sh. All right. Actually, let's just go. There's a faster way. I know there's a faster way, but slow and steady wins the race. So then we'll have application install right there. That's pretty good, but let's mark that as resolve, commit, page out of date. What? Jeez. Alrighty. So be it. We're going the other method of doing our PRs. I've actually gotten it's starting to warm up on me. You know, doing PRs directly in code, actually not the worst. It's starting to actually be okay for me. So this one commands. Let's just check this whole PR out. So we're going to do checkout request. Bam. And okay. Let's resolve those conflicts, shall we? So we just did this, but now we're doing it here. Actually, you know what? It'd probably be easier just to do it from, yeah, we're just going to do it local. Call this one, what is this supposed to be called? Install ZSH. I don't know if I like that. I think we're going to call it ZSH prompt. So back here, usually there's like a little like deny head change. Let's see if we can do it this way or not. Use source control view to resolve conflicts. Okay. ZSH setup, I guess. How are we also doing it? Yeah, I think ZSH setup is the way to go. All right, so we'll do ZSH setup in an applications folder. And then let's also change. Yeah, there's a couple different changes I need to make too. I wonder why it's not allowing me to commit back, but either way. There's all these stage changes. What? Why is it like that? Yeah, let's just update and reboot. Okay. So here's this one. We're still working on the merge. Here's the ZSH commit. Let's take that file. Let's go over to applications and then paste that file in. And let's rename this file. ZSH setup. And then we have, oh God. See, I probably shouldn't have checked this out. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think somebody, let me refresh. Did you do a commit? That'd be funny. Oh no. Let's see what the changes are. Okay. Well, actually, no, that's not bad. Although I think it will deny all my changes. So I don't want to do all this work. I probably should have just denied the PR because it hadn't been updated and it's using like the old settings. And frankly, I could have just rewritten all this myself a little bit faster, but I still like the idea of it. So you should probably be using common script here at the top, just to showcase how this should look. For anybody that watches this back and contributes, it's always a good learning experience. So then we have install ZSH right here, setup ZSH. So let's go install CSH. And is this calling setup ZSH? Where's that setup ZSH getting called? It's never getting called. Function's getting declared, but it's never getting called. Ah, okay. Well, setup ZSH config should be there. And then we should also have setup env, I believe. Is it setup env? God bless, I can't remember. Check env. My bad. So we got our common script in. Grab that. Then you have your setup ZSH config. This drops it all in there. And you also have this, which also need to be fixed. So usually during the setup process, we'd have like the sudo packager. And honestly, I'm going to have to go back and fix a lot of this because some people don't use sudo. There's also do as. And those people, although do as usually there's an alias for sudo. So, I mean, it's not like the end of the world kind of thing. But for completionist's sake, do as sudo and then setting a proper command would be ideal. So we have all these finding zipper commands and all this business. It actually looks like it could be completely changed. The easiest way to do this, copy it. We're going to just use this as a good starting point because we wrote this script in the last stream. So ZSH, then we're looking for the ZSH command before trying to install it, and then doing a package. And then, hey, if it's pacman, go ahead and do pacman-s, no config, and then that should be ZSH. And if not, everybody else is just a simple install ZSH. Although I do believe there's some nuance here. I want to say OpenSUSE also has some other things going on too. Oh, the creator actually left to make Paru. I didn't know that, background cool guy. I know Paru is a little bit faster, especially rebuilding. So I've actually finally moved from Yay. Yay's fine though. I mean, if you're still using Yay, it's okay. The only difference is Yay's built in Go and then Paru is written in Rust. And really, what does that mean for average day users? Really, it just means Rust. When you're building Paru up and installing it, Paru's faster to install because Go's library, or at least how Yay's built, just is bigger. And it takes a lot longer to build the thing. Have you considered DWL? Yeah, it gets brought up pretty much every stream whenever I'm in DWM. Why not make a option when you first do the system install that makes a prefix so you could just do sudo install X? And we could do that. Make a install program for you. This is neat because this is a ZSH, so it's actually writing a ZSH prompt. As Muscle made this ZSH config, what this is doing is it's saying config directory, setting it to your home directory .config ZSH, then setting the ZSHRC file to the config directory .zshrc, and then it's creating the config directory if it doesn't exist, which technically check if directory exists first. Oh, well, that's, come on. All right, let's try Jibbity. There we go. Sonnet, I guess, is having a brain fart today. Okay, old LLMs, but we have an if that, not directory config directory, then it'll go ahead and make the directory. If it is there, it won't. Then we cat EOL, and we do an output to the ZSHRC file. You can see we have just one, so it's not going to do an append. I will just do a write. And then lines configured by ZSH new user install. History file. I mean, I don't think you need that. I'm looking. Seems excessive. Configure the prompt for embedding solarized color codes. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think probably someone will come along. I really liked PowerShell 10x, I think it was, for ZSH. It was really kind of cool. But there's probably like an Oh My ZSH as well. Will a long-term good idea be to add a Hyperland Titus to linutil? Absolutely, Zach. That's definitely on the table. As I said, eventually I'll have to go to Wayland at some point in time. And Hyperland's really the only window manager right now that I would use. Having said that, though, DWL is still there. And I do love the simplicity of that suckless philosophy, which DWL does embody. So I might just do DWL and then run like an SL status. Oh, I got you. Just the, yeah. Like, this is a good starting spot for most people for ZSH. What's going on here? Expressions don't expand in single quotes. Use double quotes for that. So what's it want to do? Ensure that etc ZSH environment set to z dot for the user configure directory. This wants to do a double quote on top of that. That's wrong. Why would you do like a double quote here? You're on drugs, LLM. Stop smoking. All right, anyways. SL status is what gives me my time and stuff up here. You can put battery up there, you can put different stuff, but it's just a really simple status bar, basically. Most people prefer DWM blocks because it has like fancy graphics and other stuff. And like more interaction. So like you could put like a speaker up here and then click on the speaker and then adjust your volume. So I understand my way is not pretty. It's not, it's super simple. It's just, hey, it just doesn't ever break. So that's why I'll say it once. I'll say it again 1,000,000 times. It just doesn't break. That's really my criteria. I just want to be able to jump in and just do my stuff. DWM blocks isn't very heavy. It's just pretty complex to integrate into DWM. And you also run into issues depending on how the DWM blocks is programmed. A lot of people program using basically for loops and just saying every 60 seconds run this loop to update, which is bad. It causes undue cycles on your CPU, and most people that do like Waybar and Polybar, and a lot of them do the same. They're guilty of this sin, and that's just not good. You can do triggers is the proper method to do it. So you get triggered when certain events happen in your computer, and then those triggers update your status bar based on that. So then you're not using all these giant CPU cycles every second to use a status bar, which sadly, I would say most Linux users are at fault of this, because I know I was at fault of this when I started my journey into like tiling window managers. And it's just, you know, you don't want to be using a whole bunch of CPU power for a status bar that you're going to look at maybe once or twice a day. Waybar is not bad. I think Waybar is way better than Polybar. Polybar, I think, is just hot garbage. So Waybar's okay. It's like a decent middle of the road kind of thing. Oh yeah, did I forget to echo the command? Thank you. So we have that. Install if not installed. Echo ZSH is already installed. That's good. That's good. And that's good. So all this is gravy. So we'll just git and push this. Update ZSH install. All right, let's push it to the head, I guess. Yeah, it's not gonna allow me because I'm not there. Let's see. What's the more? Can we push that? I don't think we can push this. Damn. Well, maybe. Let's see now. Let's come back to this pull request. I've been working on this pull request. I've done so much coding on it. I'm like, I probably should have just closed this out and done it myself, but nah, it's fine. It's educational. So we have the update ZSH. We should have this. Okay, you know, it took. We're good. Super easy. No, now it's fine. Yeah, very solid. Okay, so now we're good. Yeah, this guy was like, hey, for this, you got SYU for this, but if you look, what do we do for ours? It's actually S. We're just doing straight up S. We're not even doing an update. Probably should do an SY instead of that. Yeah, we'll make that change. All right. And I think we can synchronize those changes, and then that should change over here. So one more change if we come into files change. Do we have a refresh here? It's not going to show right there. Maybe it didn't sync. I probably need to do a commit. I'm not used to working on other people's branches. I need to get better about that though. So this is more of a learning experience for me. All right. Let's see if we're over here. You can see we're there. And if we go get status, yeah. So we'll just do a commit and push. Lazy G, update Pacman install. Oh, that's right. And we can't just do a git push. And I thought we could do like a git push. Yeah. Add ZSH and then come back to here. So then if we refresh, it should say SY. And Bob is your mother's brother. All right, it's done. All right, sweet. Nice. What's the best advice? Are you learning from zero? Get out there and start pounding away, man. You'll learn it. Figure out something fun, small that you can do. Don't worry about like graphics or trying to take on too big of a project starting off. Start small, something you understand, and then automate it. Of course, you're talking to a guy that just like lives and dies by scripts. So, all right, cool. So this is approved. We're good. Ooh, what do we got going on here? FMT says it failed. Really? It's there. Why does that say Xcode 1 on this? A diff. I got rid of a bunch of white space. Why would that flag? All right, let's try that. Cargo, FMT, all, check. So me wiping out, just changing the white space. All right. Huh. Okay. Fix white space. Actually, so what this should be is a gcom fix white space in FMT, then get push. You can't do a get push because it's in my branch, so you got to push it to this, and we're good. Then come back into our pull request and rerun this again and see what we get. That's interesting. So the cargo FMT is a cargo format command all, and it just formats any extra white space and makes sure that your project isn't bloating itself up with just garbage, whether it's extra white space or extra returns. It'll reformat it. That's kind of cool. I did not know about that. So thanks, chat, for holding my hand during that. Good to know. And now we have a successful check. I like it. Man, that is so cool. So merge that in. I should add that to, we did, Kang. We did a pre-compile on the Windows utility. OG did it. OG MRK. He painstakingly basically wrote from scratch a pre-compile script that goes through and removes white space and looks for erroneous symbols and characters. So then when we're compiling the script, like, it's insane how far Windows utility has become. Like, some of the features in it, no other PowerShell script in the world has, which is nuts. All from open source. So, like, where it's gone is way beyond anything I've ever even in my wildest dreams thought of. And a lot of that is just the massive amount of contributors we've had. So it's a little bit humbling going from that project to this project and going, okay, well, here is my basic terminal menu with 3 options that mostly work. And then we slowly build it out. But this is exactly how Windows utility worked. And heck, if you look at our first origins, our first baby steps, we're actually pretty far away from where we started just a couple weeks ago. And it's not even been a full month on Linux Toolbox. So it's kind of crazy. Let's see. What would you recommend instead of WayBar? Check out GBar. It's kind of interesting so far. I like it. Small improvements to handle formatting of keys. Okay. Small improvements for this. Okay. So we're just using... So this was actually something I wrote. It's like, let me just pound this out. And then they just took that and put it into a single line. So if keycode enter, if self, Windows state is none, self handle enter. It's actually not bad. I don't know if I like it. I almost kind of like my long drawn out if statement instead of just one-lining it. Makes it a little easier. So it's kind of an interesting different take here. So you go window down if preview state is some, else select next. That looks fine. Oh, NWG bar is also good. That's a good one, Bojan. Will you ever change the theme from Nord to Capuchin? Maybe one day when I get bored of Nord. Or maybe even have an option to switch between both live. It's a thought as well. Why just settle with one theme? I'm not against it. Sometimes I'm like, Nord's getting a little bland. I could use a little spice in my life. All right, that looks fine. Let's check the lint. Was this LJ? Yeah, this is LJ. All checks. That looks solid. I should have approved that beforehand since we did a code review of it. Add suckless programs. Oh God, let's see what we got here. D menu set up. D menu is interesting. I like Rofi personally, but it's not bad. But I will say one thing I've noticed with, and this might just be a Linux user thing, but the standardization among the Linux communities, everybody just does their own stuff. It's kind of crazy. Like, there's a lot of times just a complete disregard for standardization among the Linux community. What brings this up is He's creating an entire new directory called suckless setup when we already have an application setup directly. So you have an application directory, and then you would have like an application setup directory, and then below that, a suckless setup directory. I get it. I do. But I'm just like, I don't know. That seems a little jank and unstandardized. So I mean, why not just put it in the applications directory? And then if the applications directory gets too big, make subdirectories inside of the applications directory and be like, all right, we'll make it like a suckless menu. That'd be interesting. DWM. This is just grabbing ST, DWM. Oh boy. They're grabbing it directly from suckless though. So this would be the stock experience. I will say the stock experience of ST, DWM, and daemon is a little bit on the rough side. That's even a little too bland for my liking. So just my thought, my 2 cents. I like this. I think it's just, I don't think it really fits, because if you're going to go with these, most people would not use the vanilla versions directly from suckless. You'd want some kind of customization. So that and ST terminal kind of sucks. I hate to say it out loud like that. I know it's suckless, but ST terminal, I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it when I tried it. I'm sorry. I know that's terrible. Yeah. But it's also true. Like, there's not many people that use ST terminal when you have all like this plethora of amazing terminals out there, from Alacrity to WizTerm to Kitty to heck, even some of the more GUI based things with Console or Terminator. Yeah, there's just so many better options. And I don't want to bloat up the Linux utility with things that people won't use. Because if you are going to use ST and you are that individual, chances are you're going to want to clone the repo, go through it, and then change the code to your needs. Yeah, because that's just like a suckless thing. Most people just get it directly from suckless, and then they're sitting there kind of tweaking and patching it to get exactly all the stuff that they want. And I mean, I can see the hackability of the ST terminal and how you could want to make a bunch of different patches for it. But using the stock ST terminal is, that's just crazy. Will linutil clean up logs and temp like winutil does? That's a brilliant idea, Loop TJ. Brilliant. Yes, absolutely. We will make that a priority. All right. I love the idea, but most of the stock, yeah. Yeah. I love the idea, but the stock suckless programs are a bit too rough around the edges for the average user. I don't want to put that in text. I really don't, because I want to say suckless programs are amazing, but you do need to hack them a little bit to make them like really shine. So yeah, I'm gonna close this one. God bless. I hope he doesn't come. Linux users can be a little crazy too, so I mean, geez. I have a nice video idea for you. You have 16 cores. Try recording gameplay of any game with H.264 and compare it to a capture card. Well, I could see that. Native, it's always going to be pretty good. Although my capture card's pretty awesome. But I went all out with my capture card. It's not like some Elgato crap anymore. I switched it out to a Magewell. Oh, no, yeah. The PR, Peter, was stock, non-patched, suckless programs. And I was like, I don't want to accept this, because the stock suckless programs are a bit rough around the edges with no patches. So I think you have to patch the suckless programs really to get really for them to shine, is basically what I said. All right, what do we get wrong with our UFW script, by the way? Let's see. You got common scripts. Yes, that's true. Install package. Excuse me. Okay. What's this configure UFW? Yeah, you know, breaking that into 2 different functions is good. And adding the common script is good because it's trying to do a check env without the common script. I think we forgot to concatenate, or this was after we got rid of the concatenation, and now you have to add it to all the scripts, and I think I missed this script. Yeah, approved. I do want to look at this file real fast, and I want to also change that workflow to do a bash or a shell check. Expand that out for me. That actually should be an SY, no configuring UFW. Let's just change that real fast too. Quick little change, quick little update. All right, now we're good. Yeah. All right, now we're good. Merge it. Just avoid Corsair on Linux, including Elgato. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think a lot of people that have compatibilities with Linux expect, and honestly, I think some of this is Linux users too. A lot of people just say blanket statements like, hey, just switch to Linux with your current hardware without doing any investigation if your current hardware is compatible. That's a mistake. Like, when you're thinking about switching to Linux, the big thing you need to look at is my current hardware going to be a good experience in Linux? Because certain hardware does work better in Linux than other hardware. So that's a big thing people miss. It's really important to look at that for sure. Oh, what Magewell did I get? I got like a 1080p 4-quad capture card on eBay for, I think it came from Canada, some radio station in Canada, and I paid like $150 for it. If you go to buy it online on like Amazon, the Magewell 4 HDMI capture card is like $900. So the used market's really where it's at. So all my streams now are doing Magewell 4 HDMI capture cards. And honestly, I could take that and put it in Linux. I could put it in Windows. Magewell works in everything. Magewell is kind of an amazing company too. There was a little bit there where I made my stream PC, the one I'm capturing all the audio and video from. I made it an Arch Linux install, and Magewell made a driver for the mainline driver for Linux, Arch Linux, which was pretty bleeding edge at the time. And they just sent me the driver in like a zip file and said, oh, here's what you need to do to patch it up and make our stuff work with your Arch Linux install. I was like, holy crap. I've never seen a company do that. So I can say nothing but amazing things from Magewell capture cards. If you want to have a Linux box and like record and do all the things, Magewell is where it's at. Don't do Elgato or the USB garbage. You'll run into latency and delays, and it's just not worth it. You want like a full-blown PCIe card, go with the Magewell and get it on like eBay. You can get a cheapo one aftermarket. Now, if you do need like 1440 or 4K, that's a different story. The newer Magewell is 4K compatible, I think. So might be a little different. If you're buying new hardware, get something that's compatible. System 76, Tuxedo. I think both System 76 and Tuxedo are good. Purism, I don't want to disparage a company or anything, so I'm not going to say anything. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, and that's kind of what I think of Purism. And I personally am using the K-Focus now too, so if you're going to go with a laptop, I'd throw them in the ring too. If you don't mind KDE and you like that style, K-Focus one's treating me really well. I've been rocking that for like 2 months. I still got to do a video saying I've changed my main laptop. God bless. I'm surprised they haven't hit me up in an email and going, Titus, where's our video? Yeah, we gave you a laptop and you never made a video. I'm sorry, guys, if they do see this. I'm working on it. It's a great laptop though. I've really been putting it through the motions. Say what your problem is with Purism for the chat. All right. Let's just talk about the Purism stuff real fast. They were a past sponsor of mine. And they did give me some money to do some ad spots for them 4 years ago. Jeez, it's almost been 4 years. Damn, it feels like yesterday. So I had pretty good connections with Purism, and honestly, that was a great working relationship. So no problem there. They were awesome. They were one of my best sponsors ever. And so they promised a phone, the Purism phone. And the phone itself, when it came out, had all kinds of problems. One, it was like way behind schedule, like 2 years. And then the stuff they did make was substandard, to say the least. Meaning Pine phones were way better, way cheaper, and much more put together well. Now, the idea from Purism was that they'd have kill switches and all this modularity, but in the end, it just did not work out very well for them, and the product they produced wasn't all that. And that's the problem with Purism. And nothing like major. It's not like some Mr. Beast scenario or something like that, or any other crazy drama online. So it's just the company itself made a lot of promises, and I felt like they just never really delivered on them, and the product itself at the end of the day wasn't a very good product. Yeah. And phones are hard too. So that's why I don't want to be like, I don't want to get down on them. I really appreciate them taking millions of dollars and just rolling the dice with what they did in going at it, going ham, trying to make out a whole new phone for Linux. And what they were trying to do was hard. They were building out the hardware, they were building out the software, and the consumer expectation for that is so high because you have iPhones, you have Androids, and I wanted so much. That's why I don't want to really talk bad about them, because man, I really appreciate them making the effort, even though what they made was kind of crap. It was, and it's a hard thing. But damn, they tried. They had such big balls for trying. So I like them for that. I really like the effort. It's just what was produced at the end of the day wasn't good. Yeah. Phones are hard. Hell, Microsoft had trouble. Yeah, honestly. So you might not take my word for this, but oh God, I don't even want to say this either, but I'll just say it. There's not that many people online. Okay, there's not very many people watching. Don't clip this, and I mean it, because I want to say it, and then I want everyone to forget I said this. Windows phones were probably the best phones we'll ever get. I mean, that sounds crazy, but hear me out. Hear me out. The tiling in the Windows phones and the integration they had with like Xbox at the time, and some of the features and the stuff, it was actually better than Android and Apple. I thought the Windows phone was literally better than Android and Apple at the time. I'm just saying they were really good phones, but were badly mismanaged. So I know that's really divisive. Totally canceled. I would never make a video saying that, but they were great phones. So the big thing about the Windows phones where it failed was the store. They didn't have any compatibility. They couldn't get any developers to develop their stuff because they were so late to the game. But the UI experience, the actual usage of the phones, it's probably my most favorite phone of all time. I like it better than this pile of crap, just an Android, or that $1,000 piece of crap that most people have in their pocket here in America called an iPhone. They're just gross phones. And the Windows phone was not that bad. I like them better than both. I've said it. So the big thing, and I think a big reason why it didn't, is they were literally charging companies for the licensing behind the phone. So you had Apple doing everything end to end. You had Android that was basically just giving it out for free. And then you had Microsoft saying, yes, I know we're late to the game, but we would like millions of dollars to give you the opportunity to make a phone that has no ecosystem, with no app store, and pay us royalties forever. Where if you just choose Android where everyone's at, you don't have to do any of that, and you can keep all the profits. But we're Microsoft. And that's the geniuses up at Microsoft and how they completely shot themselves in the foot. They made a great product, and I stand behind that. But my God, the people in charge at Microsoft, what were they thinking? I mean, they need to drug test more, I think, because the engineers did such a fantastic job. The business people, wow. I mean, I don't think I could do enough drugs to make that decision. I think, honestly, even completely sloppy, fall down, dang near blacking out, someone was like, Titus, we need you to make a business decision on how we're going to distribute these funds. I'm like, well, maybe, geez, what's that Android doing? Well, we need to get the market and probably get some kind of penetration first before we can charge any money. So, yeah, I mean, even in my complete craziest blown up, drunken stupor, maybe if I was like on acid and thinking I was like a jar of tomato, I don't know. I could never see actually, even in a drug-induced state, thinking that would be okay. But alas, here we are. Truth is always stranger than fiction in many businesses these days. I think Microsoft could have totally been a phone company. All right. Enough of the Windows Phone. Sorry, I don't know how we got on that. Yeah. No, I didn't even like the Lumia. I actually, before we go on from this, it was the Samsung Focus Windows Phone. This was probably my most favorite phone. Do we have more pictures? Yeah. Look at that beauty. Just gorgeous. Oh, hey, I can buy it off Amazon right now. I'm tempted. I loved that phone. I know. But that was my favorite Windows phone right there. It was the Samsung Focus. It was one of the first gen phones. I think maybe second gen. But man, it was good. The Nokia were decent. Nokia had a special one. It's kind of a weird backstory thing what happened there. One of the executives at Microsoft moved over to Nokia, and then they had like a backroom deal to get Nokia in to make the Windows Phone, basically screwing over Nokia. But it was like a boys club type of thing. I'm surprised the shareholders didn't actually get together that had Nokia stock and sued the CEO. I mean, I would have been pissed if they did an exclusivity kind of thing and put all their eggs into the Microsoft Windows Phone basket when it had no market share. It was a wild time, but it just shows how much of a boys club that is behind the scenes, even though, that's just how big companies work. It's not what you know, it's who you know. All right. Sorry. All right. Moving back. All right. Let's get back to some pull requests. Little sidetrack there. I got worked up. It happens. Add colorblind theme argument. Really? What do we got going on here? Theme for colorblind people. Is anybody colorblind in the chat? I have a guy at my work that's colorblind, actually. All right. Rux says he's colorblind. All right. Let's see what we got. It's interesting. So here's something that I didn't know about colorblindness. Did you know almost every person that is colorblind is male? Isn't that wild? It's apparently like a defect in like the X chromosome or something. And almost everybody that is colorblind is a dude. Now, there is some variance there. There is some times where it could be a female, but it's like really like fringe cases. So like more than 90% of all people colorblind are male. Wild. But think about it. Next time you run into someone colorblind, chances are it's a dude. The more you know. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. I learned that just the other day, and I'm past 40. I never heard that before in my life, and I was like, "No, that's not a thing." And I was like, "Is it? Okay, I'm gonna Google it." And sure enough, yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's help those colorblind people out there. I like it. Oh wow, he's done quite a few commits here. Manually specifying conflict. This is not necessary. You could define a unique argument group above. I don't think compatibility is the correct name for the group. The theming is what's affecting the other two options. I think an array is the wrong approach when it comes to themes. since you're going to end up with blind indexing in, and we can see the main function. I'll submit a PR to Refactor once this has been completed. Dude, LJ is on it. Let's see what we got. If several more themes are planned and added, a better idea is to add the -- theme option and pick a theme out of the list. Okay. Oh, yeah. Look up how it works, the XY chromosomes. That's why the males are much more colorblind. Females need 2 of the bad genes ally, where males only need 1. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. Like, females still can be colorblind, but it's really rare. Yeah, that's cool. Normal, compatibility, colorblind. Theme selection, cool. So what are we looking? Let's approve and run this workflow. Let's see what the cargo check gives us, and then let's look at the code that he has. Yeah, reds are kind of blinding to me too. All right, so let's take a peek at the changes. We're changing main.rs and also change this to update the documentation. Okay, that's funny. And then we're adding this in for the colorblind theming. And if theme equals compat, this is the array he was talking about. Arrays are interesting because I don't believe you can expand the arrays after they've been declared in Rust, which is odd. So I think that's what LJ was talking about when he said, I wouldn't use an array for this. It should be put in a different method. Public theme name, themes, compatible, default, colorblind. Let's see if there's another LJ config or commit. I'm kind of curious. We have a big refactor from Alfonso to look at too. We got a bump from clap and cross term as well. Let's take a peek at the compatibility here. 89% good for that. I don't see any other issues. Nobody's commented. So I think that will be fine to bump that dependency. Sure. Let's delete that branch. Come back and look at the other one as well. Cross term going from 27 to 28. 74% compatibility. I'm not sure on that one. This may not be a good idea to merge relevant issue with Ratatouille. Yep. Good stuff. All right. Let's just close this one. I feel like cross term, we probably should pin it to 27. Let's copy it. And let's pin this dependency so we don't get prompted for it every bit, every time we go do something. Let's go edit, and this one should be dependency dash name and cross term versions. We'll ignore everything 0.27 and above. That look good to everybody? I feel like I should look. There's probably something else there that I'm missing. Let's see. What was that pull request? One more time. It's just cross term. Yeah. What kind of bulky watch are you wearing? Oh, it's a Garmin. I'm obsessed with fitness, so I like the Runkeeper 865. An amazing watch. Doesn't mess with me. Doesn't give me like a whole bunch of notifications or crap like that. Occasionally like a text message will come through, but that's about it. Everything else is just like fitness based. Like, hey, how did I sleep? How's my other little bits and pieces, which are nice. Tells me how hard I can train usually. Yeah, fitness watches, I believe in habits. As you should. Habits are way more important. Fitness watches is just like icing on the top, if you want to go that route. Yeah, consistency and healthy habits is the biggest thing. I think too many people do like, oh, once I get this fancy watch, I'll be able to do my stuff. Nah, that's not at all how that works. All right, I think that's good. Let's commit the changes. Update dependent bot. Let's make sure that works. See if we miss anything. Oh man. Now Aptitude, is that still depreciated? Did anybody ever take over the Aptitude project for updates? That's actually a good idea. Aptitude, last time I looked, hadn't been updated in like 4 years. What was the last time that happened? Oh, well, that's not it. Let's try Aptitude get APT. All right, it looks like it got moved over to Debian. Last update 4 months ago on Debian SID, so people are still maintaining it. Although I think a lot of the base code hasn't been updated in quite some time. But if it works, it works. I just stopped using Aptitude because I just wasn't seeing very many updates. And I was like, well, this is probably going to break my system if I really go crazy, go ham with it. Yeah, I've actually been working on debloating a lot of the workflows for WinUtil. I've actually been doing really good. Opinion of Void Linux. I saw Luke Smith was a fan of it. Void's neat. I agree. Not having a systemd option is nice. You know, I think Void does like OpenRC or initd, or maybe even run it. I think you can choose like your how that works. So that's kind of nice. Are we going to get a video update on your fitness journey? Yeah, pretty soon over on Chris Titus Fitness. I think the last update I did was Murph when I did it, which was kind of nice. All right, I think this is good. Let's close this pull request for cross term. So I think what I'll do, thanks for the heads up, LJ. Close. I thought that worked, but we'll see. We'll see if it actually honors that Dependabot update. But anytime I see anything less than like an 80% on Dependabot on an update, I'm like, eee. What do you do besides YouTube? I'm an IT manager, and then I guess you call me a Twitch streamer or YouTuber. Also do, oh geez, not that much really. I would say I've got a pretty chill day, so I usually do those. Those are really the three things. And then I guess you could call me a developer. Heck, I've been working and just pounding away on these open source projects for quite some time. We're getting around to really having some really cool things. Like Windows Utility is now one of the top utilities in the world. I think we're just right behind Scoop and PowerShell Core. PowerShell Top 100. Yeah, we're number 3 now. So we've passed Windows Subsystem for Linux. The old Windows 10 debootloader, that's archived. And we're coming up on Scoop and PowerShell Core as one of the best or the biggest, most starred GitHub projects out there. So yeah, I guess you could call me a developer now too. And blocking ads on YouTube's easy. Not for long. Manifest 3, was it V3 coming out? They're about to bake all that in. Yeah, we're about to cross 19,000 stars, Kang. Isn't that nuts? Woo! That is something else. I'll say that. All right, so we have that. Introduced global theming and some fixes. And a lot of theming, actually. A lot of back and forth here with the theming. It's kind of cool. I love seeing, like I said, I do enjoy the back and forth between people. Sometimes with programmers, it can get a little contentious, but overall, I do appreciate the back and forth. Yeah, 6K. Originally, it was the Windows 10 project or Win 10 script. I think got up to like 8K or something, and then I was like, I'm gonna archive this project because it had completely morphed into from the original PowerShell script to more of a GUI type style thing. When I did the conversion to XAML, that was a pretty big change, and I was like, yeah, but now we got Windows 11, so I wanted to rename the project from Windows Win 10 script to more of a generic Windows that would be more agnostic and be able to use both 10 and 11, and probably 12 when it comes out. We can't mention that in Peter when it comes to the old DLP, because oh man, you get striked whenever you do that. Oh, thanks Rux for the 3 months over on YouTube. That's awesome. I love having the YouTube Twitch though. Like when we can get the chat working perfect. Oh, I meant to tell you guys. I after the last stream when we had some problems with the chat with it kept shutting off between Twitch and YouTube. I've just ditched all third-party products, brought it all in-house. So all the chat, everything's combined by me. So everything is done locally now. So I was originally relying on like this project that tried to sync both YouTube and Twitch, and it would have been nice if it worked, but it more often than not it would break, and then I'd be like, forget it. I'll just combine the chat myself. Really? Rumble? Oh my gosh. Why not just add Kick in there too? I just can't. Well, now that I can multi-stream, maybe I'll look at adding more. But I want to get, once I get Twitch and YouTube settled and everything's like seamless every single stream, it's just there's a lot that goes into adding platforms when multi-streaming. Like YouTube, I have to set up the whole stream, do the YouTube thumbnail, and then configure the title and category and all that stuff, and then do the same thing on Twitch. Adding another platform, there has to be a lot of people over there before I'll do it. Like a lot, because I'm just like, man, I don't want to add a third platform. It would just take too much out of me. How do you manage to find time for streaming and all the other things? Try to combine them. That's the big thing. Combine the streaming with like YouTube content generation. Like most of these projects that you see me working on eventually will make it into a video months down the road. And then that video will, you know, hopefully feed back into some of the streams, or I could reference a lot of the streams where we're like, hey, how did you build this? Be like, well, I just so happen to have 20 hours of me rambling along, making little basic changes and going. If you want to check it out, you can see how we do it. And that's kind of how I do everything. I think you have to you can't just do streaming. You kind of have to mix and match them. And I don't make that many videos anymore. Once upon a time, I did a video almost every day. And then I switched to like 3 a week for a good year or two. And then then I did about 1 a week. Now I'm like, I'll make a video when I can. I know I've really fallen off on YouTube. I've changed. But yeah, in all seriousness, yeah, I don't want to just make a video to make a video. I want to make sure that video is somewhat impactful. And frankly, I really enjoy making stuff more, especially like the Windows utility. It's being used so much. We already have, you know, over 10,000 runs per day. So many people are using it, and it's helping a lot of people. And I think I'm more impactful developing like the Windows utility, and hopefully the Linux utility or toolbox that we're making over here will have the same effect, where it can help so many more people adopt Linux, getting good things. I would love that. And I think if we can do both and help more people, one, have a sane experience in Windows, and two, when they do come to Linux, have a better experience because these things can be set up for them. I think that would be amazing, and kind of my thought process. What are your thoughts about Mozilla possibly going bankrupt? Google was ruled a monopoly. And, well, yeah, of course, they are a monopoly. They may not be allowed to pay anyone to be the default search. Mozilla stands to lose millions, which is 81% of their yearly revenue. I don't know. I'm torn on this. Mozilla Firefox, I have never been a big proponent of or a user. I've always been appreciative that there's another option, but I've never been a big fan. And I know, like, the only other option then is Chromium and Chromium-based browsers. I know Ladybird's coming out, so we'll see what happens with that. You know, give them a year or two. I think that's completely open source and kind of out there, so hopefully they make some traction. And if they get some traction and Mozilla goes the way of the wayside, I think I'd be okay with that. I just like to have a little bit more options than just Chromium-based browsers, even though that's what I use because it works the best and I'm able to get the most done. I won't review the alpha. I probably won't have access to that, as I don't have like a good working relationship with System 76. But as soon as they hit like alpha, beta, public, I'll probably mess around with it a little bit. Your problem with Firefox is a mystery to me, one which you've never explained in a way that I can understand. I think the easiest way to say my problem with Firefox is when I go on Google-based products, which requires a sign-on, YouTube, a lot of the account stuff, you got to remember at the end of the day, I still have a lot of that going on. It works a lot better in a Chromium-based browser, and I totally understand that's Google's doing. Google's purposely screwing up other competitors from making that render probably in a fast and competitive way compared to what Google Chromium and Chromium-based browsers are doing. But at the end of the day, I want that speed. I want that seamless integration. And I totally understand it's totally hypocritical. And that's why I always like, hey, yeah, it's good there's options. But at the same time, when I use those options, it feels inferior. And that is totally probably Google's doing. I can't confirm that. I just can tell you that's what I've had. I've had that happen. But yeah, I've used Vivaldi in the past. I've used Brave. I've tried a bunch of different stuff. And I think I tried Firefox and Florp. I remember my Florp video from last year. So it's not that I haven't tried. It's just, it always feels bad, especially around Google-based sites. And that's because Google's the one that kind of gives them an edge. You know, I was sitting there making fun of Microsoft Edge, it being faster and stuff, because Microsoft's basically tipping the scales. Google does the same thing for all Chromium-based browsers. So that's a little bit ironic, but you know. It's only really Google websites, not specifically, not especially the Google websites. It depends. Depends on the website you're on. Some websites definitely design and only test with Chromium-based browsers because that's what most people use. And Firefox does feel worse on those websites. I wish I could give you an exact example now, but as I browsed around and I used Florp for, I think, about a month, and then I was like, I've had way too many problems. I think Sony PlayStation, I think, was another one that had an issue with, where I think I was loading into like its website to do something with a PlayStation sign-on, and I don't think it rendered properly on Firefox, and I had to use Chromium. And I get it. And to some Firefox people, they're like, hey, I'll just install both browsers and then just pull up my Chromium for that one browser that doesn't work with Firefox. And I'll be like, yeah, but you're still installing two browsers to do it. I understand it's not fair. I understand it's a monopoly. But at the same time, I don't want to be the guy with worse experience. So what do we do? What do we do? Yeah. I mean, but if you can get away with it and you're not doing a bunch of different Google sign-ins and things of that nature, I'm sure you'll have a decent experience on Firefox, and I encourage that. Me personally, I have a lot of Google sign-ons, and I do a lot of stuff with Google, and it is not the same experience. So that's why the struggle is real with me in that, and I do what I can. But like a de-Googled Chromium would be the same as Firefox. Like if you take a de-Googled Chromium and start browsing a lot of Google-based products, like YouTube and whatever else you can find from Google, there's Gmail probably would be another one. Yeah, you definitely can feel the slowdown or the jankiness, I think is probably a better terminology for it. Yeah, I mean, pirating YouTube videos is a great solution, but not if you're a YouTuber. You gotta remember at the end of the day, that's you gotta remember who you're talking to. I mean, more power to you though. I'm not bashing you for doing it, but for me, I mean, come on now. Like, what do you want me to do? Some anonymous upload and be somewhere? That's just not gonna work, man. Liz Rosman says it's not pirating. I mean, I get it, but let's be honest. They're the ones fronting all that horsepower. It's Google. I don't feel sorry for them, so by all means, do it. I don't care. But let's face it, they are ingesting all that video, organizing it, displaying it, and doing all that overhead. If I were just to do my videos on my own website, I mean, we're talking hundreds, maybe $1,000 a month in just overhead to do exactly what I could do on YouTube for free. That's not nothing. It's not. So I understand from a technology standpoint. I think many people are a bit spoiled now and they don't realize why things are free. They're free because those big companies subsidize them in other ways that no one else can compete. Google's the same way. So by all means, am I not saying don't do this, but at the same time, let's not pretend like it's, oh, that's okay. That would be like me hosting my videos on my website and having like a paywall and then someone bypassing that paywall and then distributing all that for free to someone else when I'm paying hundreds of dollars, probably thousands of dollars to host those videos and those streams. Dude, that's not cool, nor probably legal. So yeah, I mean, I get it. And like I said, I don't feel bad for Google, but yeah, network Chuck. I could reach out to Chuck. How many extensions do I use? Oh God, what do I use? Let's see. Improve YouTube, Authenticator, Better TV, Checker Plus, which Google Mail. I mean, that one kind of sucks. I don't think I might use that. Dark Reader. I like to turn that off and have chat yell at me. Go full page. I like to do full page captures because I don't trust. Sometimes when I find something really good on the internet, I don't trust that it'll be there when I come back. So a lot of times I like to capture the entire image. Momentum's like my home page. RoboForm password manager, screenshot YouTube, sponsor block for YouTube, so it skips people's sponsor segments. uBlock origin, and then web highlights, so I can highlight things that I see and then be like, hey, turn that red for me. And that's what I use. Yeah, I mean, I actually like Jason and Brian. They're okay. Two polar opposites from both different spectrums, but I don't mind both. I did an interview with both of them. Do you use Workspaces and Vivaldi? There are some bugs. I think I actually had a problem with Vivaldi when I used it. Specifically, the Linux spin of it actually slowed down for me. All right, let's see. What else we got here? It's kind of interesting. They're kind of going back and forth still about this. All right. Dang. What are we changing here? All right, I don't think it's ready for a merge, but it'll be interesting, to say the least. The global theme, just removing some of those, and then adding a global themes directory, and then that. Okay. Well, it looks pretty simple. We might actually be able to fix some of this. What do we have? Did I miss something in chat? That wouldn't be the first time. No, I don't see anything. Huh. Okay. So we do have a theme going on here. We are sourcing this. I'm kind of curious to see what they go with here. Avoid using with desktop environments. Probably needed asterisk. Set global theme. I mean, we're already kind of doing this. Feels a bit like reinventing the wheel. Although, yeah, I'll see what they do. I'll leave this open for now. I already have like a global theme in the system setup right here. And I see them kind of just doing a revamp of it. But I definitely probably need to check if we're using like the KDE environment and be like, hey, you might not want to do this if you're on KDE or GNOME. So that'll be kind of interesting. Man, I don't think I've gotten very much done today. Let's see. Are you still developing your Windows tool? Yeah, man. Windows tool's seen heavy development. I've actually been working a lot on that. Pretty much every day I do at least 1 or 2 commits to it, just to showcase how far I've gone into the paint with a lot of my open source tools. You can kind of see main YouTube, and then I started going. I took a little vacation here where I was like gone, and then when I came back, I was like, I need to do more of my open source projects. And then finally, I made a video just like, hey, I'm just gonna go full development and learn most of this stuff, and I'm just not gonna make that many YouTube videos. And that's when, obviously, my commits kind of went through the roof. And shoot, I think right now, how many commits am I at? Yeah, I mean, holy crap. I was barely at 1,000 commits all the way up to like here. And then as soon as I started working and doing a lot more commits over here, that's when you see just lighten up like a Christmas tree at the end. And I've just really, you can see year over year on my contributions. Where 2022, I started to take it. I'm like, hey, these GitHub projects are kind of cool. And 2020, I think, is when I really started like, hey, let's start doing some stuff in GitHub. Yeah. And then, yeah, all these were nothing. So yeah, 2020 was actually right when I started to get into GitHub, mostly from just Linux contributors and commenters on YouTube. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, and learning Git. And it's been, 4 years since, and really, geez, already in 2024, we're over 1,000 commit contributions. So, we'll probably end the year closer to 2, maybe even 3,000 contributions because of how much development I'm doing offline and online. And a lot of it is Windows Tool, the utility, mainly because, dude, people are sponsoring me left and right over here. And I'm still learning Git. Yeah, that's a good one. So it's still a good one. One never gets good at Git. That's a good point. But yeah, like if you look at our sponsors right now, like this is really a lot of the monthly contributions that we get directly over here. And then people just buying the exe wrapper, just be like, hey, thanks. And then getting an exe they can run. Now they don't need to do that. They could just run it through PowerShell just fine with the IRM command, just by copying and pasting this one right here. But they do. So, and I get quite a bit of contribution. So this is actually my main source of revenue. It's eclipsed from the sponsorships to people doing the executable. That's when I was like, hey, I better just go all in on this because it's way better than YouTube. It's way better than my day job. And if I put more time and effort in it, make it even better, more people contribute and sponsor it. So that's it. So I pretty much completely switched to FOSS. And, I still make YouTube videos and stuff like that, but it just, not nearly as many as I used to. Will you try Ags by Arler? Don't even know what that is. Ultramarine Linux, I think it's like a fork of a fork, is it not? I don't know what that is. Let me look. A customizable extensible shell. Currently only Wayland is supported, but it also works on X11. Okay. Interesting. It was inspired heavily by OO. I wonder if they have any, still seems to have some active stuff. Ooh, TypeScript and JavaScript though. Yeesh, gross. A little bit biased. Yeah, maybe. Doesn't look that appealing though. Would you ever open contributions to your projects in general to help support the contributors? Yeah, I think so. I mean, if it ever got to a point where I was making a lot of money, I definitely would. Like, what was it, Thor? I think Thor actually opened up. He was making enough money on Twitch and some of the other, I think his game and stuff too, but enough to where he was taking the tips, I think, from his channel and ad revenue and paying out his mods, which is crazy. I think that was the first. Oh, and the Ultramarine Linux question. Let me look that up real fast. Ultramarine Linux, what is it? Oh, based on Fedora. Wow, gross. Half kidding. Yeah, no, I definitely will never check this out. I'm soured on most Rail-based stuff. I just don't really want to use a lot of Rail-based stuff. And that's fine. It just as a personal thing, I think Red Hat's done enough to where I'm like, I can't support or show support for anything that is Rail-based. I still mess with Rail servers and such, but not any desktop environments or desktop distributions. Any Fedora or Rail-based desktop distribution, I just don't want to mess with. I have a couple videos on the channel about it, but the short of it, too long, didn't watch of all that is, Bazite is Universal Blue, so that's true JS. I don't personally use it though. I do recommend Bazite, and honestly, when it comes to Bazite, and also Nabara is Fedora based as well, they are very good gaming distributions. And if someone's going to have a better experience, then of course I will mention it to them. But the too long didn't short why I don't like Rel, and I personally don't want to use Rel or those desktop based distributions is one. The first thing they did was they screwed over a bunch of sysadmins. CentOS 7 moved to CentOS 8. Every versions of CentOS had 10 years of support. Red Hat did an unprecedented change, didn't warn anybody, had a whole bunch of sysadmins update from CentOS 7 to CentOS 8, and then a year later basically said, you have to migrate to either pay us money through a subscription or leave, and your systems will no longer get support. I know we said you give you 10-year support, but you get 1 year support. Here's the cutoff date. Good luck to you. That made me really angry. I thought Red Hat was just pure evil for that. That was the thing. That was actually way bigger than anything else I've seen them do. I thought that was super messed up. I made a couple of videos about it. A few other people, I think, made videos about it. But that was the first thing. And then the second thing was last year. That was actually 2 years ago when that happened. The thing last year was when Red Hat basically closed sourced Red Hat Enterprise Linux and said, hey, you can't have access to our repos. So Rocky Linux, Alma Linux, Oracle Linux, many of the one-to-one bug equivalents of these distributions that were CentOS-like got screwed, you know, and then they found ways around that, and they're still in operation. They're still fine, but it's the effort that Red Hat put in to close source something is laughable at best, and they should feel bad. They should feel bad about it. I just, Red Hat is bad. It's a bad company, and that's just against the spirit of Linux. And I understand they're like, well, we need to make money. That's not how you do it. It's just not. I just cannot endorse anything from Red Hat because of that. Oh, add a slight delay in your mic would be great. All right, I'll do a sync. It's been a little bit since I did a sync. I'll take a peek. Yeah, and I get that. And Red Hat was an amazing company. Before all this, actually my first distro was CentOS. That's how I actually got into a lot of Linux stuff. Like my first distro was just CentOS. I think it was 6 at the time. And it was fantastic. So to put that out, I think is a little bit messed up. That's the big thing that they messed up with it, because when you got CentOS bringing more users into the RHEL ecosystem, they may not give you money now, but they learn about SE Linux, they learn about your package manager, they learn about all these things. They're not just going to come over and fork up and give you money. And now you've taken away that whole learning experience from people, and it's just very short-sighted. And obviously you can still use Rocky, Alma, or Oracle Linux to do these things. It's just, you know, one of those things. A real-time kernel for during streams. That's all Windows-based stuff, Peter. I'm using Windows for my capture. Yeah, the true way is doing the clap test. You can see the sync. So the best way to do that, and then slow it down in post, do a recording slap, and then go, okay, that's in sync. Sometimes it can get out of sync from the different platforms, and then you just refresh it. So there might be a delay on Twitch's side or YouTube side, but if you sync it up in a record, it should be fine. Yeah, I mean, the best bet, I think, is community distros. I agree with Peter on this. So like Debian and Arch Linux, I think, is the best. So a lot of these other like forks of those, I don't really give them much thought, because those two community distros really encompass pretty much everything I like in Linux. Depending on what I'm trying to do, I really do think that. So if it's Arch, great. If it's Debian, great. It just depends on your use case. If you want older packages that are more stable, Debian's the way to go. If you want the bleeding edge and have like the newest stuff, I think that's the way to go, and just go with Arch, you know? Fedora is a community distro. You got to remember Fedora exists because of Red Hat, though. So if Red Hat comes along and says, hey, Fedora, you need to do this, Fedora will do it. So Fedora is not really a community distro in that regard. They are at the behest of Red Hat. And Red Hat uses Fedora pretty much as a testing ground. Well, no, Fedora's not downstream from Red Hat. Fedora's upstream from Red Hat. Still waiting to claim the pull-ups. Yeah, we'll have to do a stream like that for sure. With the pull-ups. Oh my gosh. I know, I always get it backwards too. But you just got to remember, like, think of it, when you think of upstream and downstream, the best way I can think in my head, and this might be wrong, a way to think about it is, let's say you need to drop something in a river. Is that going to go downstream, or is it going to go upstream? Well, no, it's always, river always flows downstream. So it flows downstream to the next one. So the newest package is always upstream, and then the oldest package is always downstream. So that's the best way to think of it. Is just like, hey, if you drop something in a river, river goes up, well, it's flowing downstream. So when you drop it in, it goes downstream. And I guess that's the best way to visualize it in my head so I don't screw that up. Unless you're a salmon. True. Yeah, as a kayaker, you're forgetting the eddies. Yeah. I know there's definitely stuff like that, but you know, I think for the most part it holds true. So that's why I always think about that. Kayaking is awesome though. That's a great workout and just so awesome. You can get so many great sights. You know about traversing? No, I don't know anything about traversing. I'm a complete noob when it comes to kayaking for sure. I've always been just, I can go run a whole bunch. I also like biking. I love biking. I need to get into the water for sure, especially here in Texas. It's like 105 degrees, man. 40 something Celsius every single day. It's brutal. It is brutal during August here. Can you repair a bike? Yeah, of course. Not that hard. Yeah, I won't risk mountain biking. Mountain biking's fun. How's your AC doing? It's decent, but here in Texas, you have to spray it out about once a month, once every 2 months, I'd say, during the summertime, because the coils get dirty and you really want to make sure, hey, your AC's at peak. If you haven't sprayed out your AC unit in the summertime, you're just asking for it. Sentient, Stardust, thank you for the prime. Can you break a bike? Absolutely. Good to hear. I am. Thanks. Tier 1. All right, man. Welcome. That's awesome. Damn you ads. Yeah, Twitch ads suck. I do get it. Oh man, I love it. What else do we have? Let's finish looking at those PRs. I kind of got sidetracked here. Well, this is not it. Got 11 PRs already over on WinUtil. I just cleared those out Tuesday. All right, let's see what we got. 13. We have gotten through some PRs though. We're still looking at the theming. I'm kind of curious to see what comes from that. Fix search commands. What's going on here? Before, when searching, pressing the letter Q would quit the program. Same goes for the / using the action rather than acting a letter. Following this, both act as letters. To exit the program, the user must get out of search before or with a dot. I did a bit of refactoring to reduce the amount of it. It would go out the hands, adding new commands. Okay. What are your thoughts on Mint? I've always liked Mint. Cinnamon is a great desktop environment, especially for new users. So, what do we have? Much cleaner. You're going to fail the formatting, check the workflow with this PR. Could use format to save in your editor, or you could go cargo FMT, which we did today before committing your changes. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Everybody helping each other out. So let's go ahead and approve this run. Soapy Dev. I really like Soapy Dev. He has some really cool stuff. He was the one that did the prototype for the new GUI. Whenever I try the Cinnamon D, something breaks. Oh, I've never had problems with Cinnamon usually, but I'm usually not doing too much in Mint. Are you going to give Cosmic a try? Absolutely. Absolutely going to try Cosmic. Cosmic's like a whole new tool set, whole new desktop environment. It'll be interesting to see what those guys at System 76 cook up. I've always critiqued them for using GNOME and always bashed them a little bit too. So it'll be interesting. Oh, it's already released in alpha. Yeah, I might see if I can get it. Yeah, GNOME's terrible. I agree with you, Nav. I just absolutely cannot get on board with that. So he's removing the key code and the / So how are we doing it? Handle keys while not in search mode. Oh, very simple change. Okay, very cool. I don't see an issue with that at all. In search mode, match key code. Else. All right, let's approve that. I like it. Clean. Look at that. A clean commit today. Didn't need to do anything. This is the first LinUtil one where we're like, hey, that's actually solid. They did the formatting, simple and to the point commit, and solid. Well, all right, let's jump over to LinUtil, try it out. Let's go back to the main branch, shall we? Let's pull down them changes. All right, cargo run. All right, so then we got our changes. Testing. Okay, Q. Oh, you can't do Q there. Okay. E. So how do you get out? Oh, you have to escape out. I like it. That is better. And then escape pops it out. Ah, much cleaner. Solid. I like it. How can I get those animations for DWM Titus? I'm going to link it in chat for you, Zach. I got you. You want FT Labs PyCom. Bam. Where are you at? PyCom FT Labs. This is what you want. Gives you that nice, sweet animation in your Xorg thing. So you don't need to use that crappy compiler or compositor. Let's go YouTube and Twitch. Bam. Yes, this is Ratatouille library for Rust. And the secret to DWM animation, it is not DWM. True. Very true. All right, what else we have? That was a good one, man. I almost missed it. Let's see what else we have. Added monitor control, xrandar, Wi-Fi control, NMCLI, and Bluetooth control. What's this look like? Oh, lordy. Okay. Dang. That's the opposite of a small commit. All right. I mean, I do like some of the functionality here. It'd be interesting to see. Auto detect displays. I've never really seen an xrandar auto detect display script. That's kind of cool. Change orientation. Man, somebody put some time in here. Disable a display. Disable a monitor. Wow. Duplicate, enable monitor, extend displays, manage arrangement. So this is just monitor control all right here. And then we have Wi-Fi control. That's kind of weird. I only say that's kind of weird because it's a bit like reinventing the wheel. And now someone in chat could tell me why. So you got NMTUI. So why push everything through NMCLI? That's the thing I guess I don't understand. Well, it's still CLI. The TUI is CLI, but now you're adding a CLI menu to do everything that TUI does. Yeah, that screen burns my eyes, need a dark theme. True. It's true. I mean, it's kind of cool. So you could just use NMCLI. So anyways, yeah, interesting. I'm kind of here for it. All right, how do you situate this in our whole thing? So we have utilities. And then sub manager for the utilities is Wi-Fi, Bluetooth manager, monitor control. Damn, I did not think I'd like this commit. But if you're using a tiling window manager, it's kind of cool. Now, having said that, a lot of people are going to be using Wayland. So a conversion will have to happen in a detection to use Wayland for like the monitor control, of course, because it won't use xrandar. It'll need like WLRandar, but pretty darn sweet. I like where it's headed. I like the base of it, and frankly, the commit's relatively clean. I'm not gonna run this because he's not really well. We can run it, sure. Let's see what old Rust has to say about this. Yeah, they put in some good work here. I agree. I think adding a few things for some of the Wayland users out there that use like Hyperland might be good, but we can always add that in the future. The base of the script, I think, is very solid. As I was looking through and kind of skimming it, I was like, all right, I see it. I see it now. When I first saw it, I was like, I don't know about that. And then I looked at the integration, and it's kind of neat. So let's see it in action. Just pull it down, grab all these new ones. Cargo run. So now we'll have utilities. Obviously, oh geez, that's gonna bug me. Don't look at me. It's fine. All right, system setup. What? Ah man, what happened there? All right, whatever. We're gonna do it over here. I fail. I'm a failed Vim user. I wanted to impress everyone with my elite Vim skills, but instead I ended up looking like a fool. It happens. So we got utilities. Oops, I think I accidentally saved that. I forget. Well, there's a faster way of doing this. All right. My bad. My bad. You see nothing? Let's, Titus is on some happy. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But we're gonna fix this. Alright, now we're going to fix this. It's not alphabetical, is my main issue. Like, what is going on here? Alright, let's fix this. It's driving me a little bit crazy. Alright, now. Ask AI to sort it. Ah, true, Rust. Rux, I totally screwed that up. That would have been a good use of AI. Alright, let's see what we got. I shouldn't probably do this live on stream, but I want to. Yes. Wow. Yes. Cool. I mean, that's a little bit better than I thought, actually. What's disable monitor do? I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna. We'll turn it off during your displacement. Are you sorry? Nah, never mind. Let's not do that right on live on the set active primary monitor. Oh, that's so neat. Change orientation. That's so cool. What do we do number 1? Oh, that's neat. Okay. Oh, man. This guy, he just made my day. He, or she, just, wow. That is amazing. That was totally worth the ad. I mean, dare I say I like that better than any desktop environment for controlling my monitor displays. It makes like DWM so much better for like new users too. So this was an amazing commit. This was an absolutely amazing commit. Love these tools. Thank you. Yep, Guru. Thank you, Guru. That's just amazing. So we have that. What else we have? Geez, that was a really good one too. Add option to remove snaps. I like this guy already. All right. How's he gonna do it? All right, system setup, remove snaps. Does the apt mark hold of snapd? We got the removal. Okay. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Another good script. Dang, there we go. See, we started off a little slow with some more troublesome PRs that were like, that's gonna need some work. And then slowly we've found some just good ones right in here. I like it. I don't know about this number that I've been doing. We might end up changing that in the future. But overall, this was a good commit. Let's go ahead and improve that workflow. I think that should be good. Should I add Lazy Vim starter to the tool? How do we feel about that? It's such a, man, I don't know. If we start adding, Lazy Vim's good. So I don't want to say not to that. I kind of want to just get all the stuff I use in there first before adding other people's utilities yet. I've used Lazy Vim in the past and it's a good experience, but I'm trying to think if that's something a new user would actually use and know where to go to configure. Yeah, Lazy Vim's recommended by Primogen. That makes it a yes. Add it. I don't think so. I'm going to say no, actually. I'm going to go against Peter on this one just because I think the average user might not know how to properly use Lazy Vim. And right out of the gate, Lazy Vim can be a little bit, although I got my NeoVim config, which is worse than Lazy Vim stock. Oh, I don't know. That's a hard one. I dislike Vim. I mean, it's an acquired taste. I like Vim a lot. I just suck at it. I think we can just, I don't think I can be convinced yet, Peter. I think that's the one thing you can say about me. I think you harped on me for how many years for DWM? And I finally came around after like 3 years of you saying, you should try this. You should try this. Then finally I was like, fine, let's do it. But yeah, Vim is it's a slow build too. Like it takes a long time. Like it's not like hey, a month later you're flying around in Vim. It's a very much you got to keep at it for like years before you're like, okay, Vim's really, it takes you to plane of existence that you could have never reached otherwise. But I do hate Nano comparatively. If we're going CLI-based editors, Vim all the way. Can you add a feature to install snaps? No. I mean, I could, but I'm not gonna. Yeah. Snaps, gross. We're not doing that. You use my tool, you're using Flatpak. Or AppImage. Or Nix. All those are on the table. Snap, no. Snap gets a big nope. Thumb down. Not doing it. Oh. Does your tool work for Bazite? No. Well, parts of it do, parts of it don't. Bazite's like its own different deal. I know I said I won't personally use rel-based distros, but Bazite is based on Universal Blue, which is an atomic desktop that it's really interesting. I really like the things the Bazite and the Bazite team are doing, even though I hate most rel-based stuff. I don't want to touch it. That one is just so interesting. I do like it. It's just, I think I will support Bazite. Yeah, I'll figure out a way to make that happen. I know. Anywho, sorry. Remove snaps. Oh yes, all checks done. We're ready to go. It's a system setup. Let's rock and roll. That's right. I can be bot. That's true. All right. All right. So we got this system setup. Remove snaps. Target not found. Snap D. Okay, cool. We could probably make that a little more elegant on the shutdown, but overall, I don't mind it. Let's push that back. All right. Up to date, working clean. All right, Kang. You got it, man. Make linutil for Bazite. Well, we'll just make compatibility. The thing is, it's just like an extra switch statement to check the distro spin and then just modify it. But like I said, I really enjoyed my time with them. In the developers and stuff I've talked to, like through their Discord and such, was amazing. So I really like them. Allow navigation with HL keys. What would HL keys get us? H character would navigate to the parent directory, if not at root. L character would act identically to the enter key. Huh. Interesting. I mean, it makes sense. It's an LJ commit. I'm pretty sure it'd probably be good. Let's see our conflicts that we have. Looks pretty simple. Enter parent directory for that. Enter. We're doing an OR statement. Key right. Or character 1. So actually, you could press 1 on the keyboard, key code right, or the enter key. Okay. Handle enter, move in, left, H. Okay. I like it. This right here, if self not at root, selected index equals 0, self visit stack pop, select sum 0. Do you want to add the PCI pass-through tool for Hikari? Ooh, no, probably not. That's too obscure, I think. I love Hikari's tool, but PCI pass-through is not for the faint of heart. And if we add it, it would be in like miscellaneous somewhere. And I'd almost want to, I mean, we could, but it's definitely not something I want to add right away. If we did it, I want to make sure there's a lot of documentation around it, because that PCI pass-through tool is very powerful, but there's a lot of nuance to PCI pass-through, and people really need to understand what goes into it before they just go one button click. Okay, yeah, PCI pass-through, pass it through for me. They really need to do some research before going into it. So yeah, just my thought. Yeah, can be good, but can be a disaster. I've had both experiences on that front. I've had a piece of hardware that just is not capable of separating your PCIe slots. So the IOMMU groups would get mixed up. And I think it was like an Asus motherboard, a cheaper one. And it just did not ever want to separate. There's nothing I could do to do it. I tried like kernel extensions to help break out the IOMMU groups and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it just wasn't happening. So that piece of hardware it was impossible to do PCI pass-through. Yeah, but if you run into an incompatible motherboard, and some people are like, well, how do I know I have a compatible motherboard? Did you pay more than $60 for it? I think that's like the criteria. I feel like the cheaper motherboards is the bigger risk. And then probably laptops too. Laptops are always a crapshoot. Try to pass those through. But yes, they never it's even more tricky than that. They never advertise IOMMU isolation. And again, yeah, it just depends. And it's not necessarily isolated to certain brands. I feel like I have better luck with like Gigabyte, but that's just maybe coincidental. Joe, thanks for the tier 1. Oh, you like Spectacle. Yeah, Spectacle's a good screenshot tool. I like Flame Shot because it's more minimal, but Spectacle's, I think, a little more feature rich compared to Flame Shot. Phronix had a good Zen 5 review on Windows. It went horribly wrong. Oh, couldn't be worse than the Intel 13th gen mishap. That was pretty rough. How about adding an option to add users groups? Yeah, I think that's definitely on the books for the user add and modification, adding groups and things of that nature. Because a lot of times I always forget the stupid commands because it's like group add and then add group depending on the distro. I think it switches between Arch and Debian, and I always end up forgetting which one's which. And then I'm like, crap. What was that? User mod -ag, and then we'll put the group and then the user, and then I was like, oh wait, this one is flipped. And then I'm like, oh god, okay. So yeah, I think programming that logic in would be good. Did we approve this? I think we can approve it. Let's approve squash merge, check it out. Oh, we need to resolve conflicts, that's right. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this one right here is using the old one. That's fine. That should be good. I didn't like that other one. LJ actually kept my logic here instead of combining it into one line. That merge we did earlier. So what this could be is we could actually change this into F self preview host is none. Go ahead and do self hinter on this, and then you don't even need any of this, because technically it would just go through it, and then if it's there, it would go ahead and do the self handle enter. If it's not, well, it's going to hit none anyways at the end. So I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, unless I fat fingered something there. Really should stop editing in the browser, but you know, I probably should have done this in Cursor. Let's run a check on it real fast just to make sure it resolved our issue. Thoughts on ST? Oh no, SM. You weren't here earlier. I think ST is an incredible, hackable, suckless terminal, and you should use it. That's my thoughts on ST. I'm going to leave it at that. But installing ST from the package manager is for crazy people. Oh my god, Peter, you're doing ST directly from the package man. Oh my gosh, okay. Oh, that's rough. All right, so squash and merge. Let's try it out. Oh, okay, just from source. Well, source is different because then you're very easy to hack and edit it. So that's not the same. I thought you were doing like a Pac-Man install ST or -S ST. See, when you use like Alacrity, Kitty, any of the other more feature-rich ones, WizTerm's probably another really good one too. It's really hard to go to like an ST and be like, oh, okay. But if you're like really into the suckless philosophy, I totally can see you building it from source and using it that way. I think it's pretty awesome. All right, got that. Allowed navigation. Let's try this HL keys in practice. I probably should have done a checkout here, but you only live once. We can always cherry pick the commit to if we need. So we got our basic commands, right? So go into the commands, come out of the commands. Let's go in. I don't want to set up bash. Let's go. Let's set up Kitty. That's cool. Nice. I probably shouldn't have done this again. Oh well. When in Rome. I keep trying to leave WezTerm and failing. Love it. Hey man, that's what I hear about WezTerm. It's on so many rices, especially on when you're visiting Reddit. Oh man, the Arch install. Well, I will say the new Arch installers on Calamares, it was kind of funny when we first got back into Arch because I have like 8 different hard disks, and I went to launch the Calamares installer from Arch, and it just died. It was just like, I don't know what you're doing, but no, that's not okay. And it just was like, I will not function. Oh man. Let's launch the binary and see what that looks like. That looks good. That looks really good. All right. Man, look at it. Single digit pull requests. Hot dog. What do we got? Big refactor. Alfonso. Yeah, we forgot to look at Alfonso's big refactor. Please read everything, as it's important to understand what is happening. I kind of need those warnings at the beginning of a pull request, so I appreciate that. Float RS added a float content interface. Anything that implements it can be shown as the body of the float window. The float size can be set on creation as a percentage of the total window size. When drawing the float, it must receive a parent's bounding box, so it knows where on the screen to live on. List RS made the command preview use float RS. Get it? Running command. Change running command struct to now implement the float content interface to allow it to be shown as the float's body. Change the file to work with the new float structure. The tool looks the same, but it is now more modular and allows for easier expansion. It could now be easier to add a floating window with the list of key bindings, for example, or any other floating dialog. So if you wanted 2 different dialogues to pop up, you could. Conflicts. Some of the recently submitted PRs conflict with this, but I can help fix those conflicts as it gets merged, or if they get merged first. I can change the branch to fix the conflicts. Okay. Well, let's see what the conflicts are. Ah, well, that's pretty easy. That was it. Yeah, it was just that adding the HL commit from LJ had a little bit of a conflict, but I'm sure the Rust checks will approve. That's pretty easy. How often does Chris stream? This is my first stream since he went full dev. Oh, yeah. So I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, occasionally on the weekends. So now I'm getting 3 days a week. This weekend, I won't probably, but I'll be back on Monday for sure. Oh, I fat fingered something on there. I bet you it's FMT error. Oh, no. If self preview window state is none, unknown field. Well, why is that? Let's check it out. Let's go big refactor. So here's all the changes. Quite a bit. All right, we got a handle key function change. Is that gonna mess with? No, that's fine, I think. All right, then we have a whole new floating file. Let's go down to list then. Floating text, preview window state. Oh, this should be preview float instead of preview window state. I see it. So let's go. Where was that? Preview float. It's fine. That's fine. Where is that? Sure, it's in here though. Yep, right here. This self should be. Well, actually, no. I guess that should be preview float. So on this checkout, let's just come down. Preview. I should have looked at the line number on that. Preview float, preview float, preview float, preview window split. Okay, so then self preview float is none. No, that's not right. Toggle preview window, right? Use parentheses to call method. Oh, Pickley's actually there. Oh, it's actually self preview float get content is some. So close. Okay. I didn't want to just be told the answer, even though that's probably what I need to do. So preview float, and then get content is none. Interesting. Okay. Let's see another implementation of it. So you got preview float handle key event. We have another preview float. Gets content, set content, none. So you can get the content, set the content there. Sure. Pull that down. Well, cool. All right, so then let's look at that. I kind of want to see a graphical representation of it. So we're going to pull up GitHub Desktop. Let's go linutil. So we're just changing preview window state to the git preview float git content. Let's commit that. Let's pull, push. All right. So then let's look at that cargo run again. Back on the preview. I know, I need to figure out something for that. Pull-ups. Pull-ups and burpees probably would be an easy one. I want TTS. Oh man, that would get out of control. Push-ups too, yeah. I need to get better on the push-ups. I haven't been doing a lot of push-ups. Oh geez, TTS would be maddening. I don't know if I could do that. I'd be so distracted. You guys already know how distracted I get already in chat. Could you imagine TTS on top of that? It would be insanity. It would just be insanity. Squat and hold while using the computer, I think that would be more justified. 15 minutes though, that's a little excessive. All right, that looks good though. All right, cool. So let's go back to there. I really like Alfonso's one. And I can't believe nobody commented on this. That's so cool. It's a very neat PR. Let's add our review here. Be like, yes, I'm going to pretend that I know everything that I just saw here, but it looks pretty good. I want to do a quick breeze real fast through the code. I'm only going to understand about probably 20% of this code, but I still want to read it. So he is adding cross term right here, event, key code, okay. And then the float content. I really kind of want to utilize like when something's done. Oh yeah, I do like the just green success, red failed so far at the top of the menu. Very neat though. I can see a purpose of having like nested windows and floating. But anyways, yeah. Unused manual floater window. It's automatically setting the size width to 85, height to 25. This one's using a division of 2 on the screen width and height. So about 50-50, I think. Kind of curious to see what this looks like. I think the window will be smaller with these divisions, but we'll find out. So we have the split, we have the height, again, divisible by 2. The test floating is actually width 100 height. I think that was just a test though, so I don't think that was actually being used. We got that, floating text, and then the content. Floating window. The only issue I think I have with floating, the one thing I need to look into, no, I think it should be fine in terminal. I'm thinking like TTY if this would cause any issues, but I don't think it would because of how it's rendered. All right, all that looks pretty solid. We're on the last main. I don't think he changed much in running command either, but take a peek. Don't propagate input to other widgets if not command float handle key. Okay. Set float content. Then we have our crate, layout size. Well, that's kind of cool. That was just a typo fix, actually. I wonder on the 3 lines, the 3 right here, why use 3 instead of 2? I don't think it matters either way, but I always thought that's kind of an interesting. If there's an actual explanation for that, I'd like to hear it, because I'm like, maybe that's just fat fingering and going 3 instead of 2. Because 2 is just a comment as well. Anywho, just a thought. Yeah, I just kept what was there. There's no explanation, I think. Okay, I didn't know if I was just like imagining that or not. I was like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It still reads it as a comment. I just didn't understand the purpose of a 3- instead of a 2- for a comment. Maybe it just looks different. All right, let's see. Calculate the inner size of the terminal area considering the borders. Define the block for the terminal display. Top line running command. Reversed. Control C to kill the command. Title success. Failed. Super interesting. Okay. Open PTY. Rows 24. Calls 80. About the same. Updated dynamically. And then we're flushing all this drawing and the borders that was being done beforehand. All right, let's try this out. I approve, but first, since this is a bigger refactor, I also want to check it out. and see what we got. So right now, I think we're on Alfonso's branch. Yeah. And what we'll do, just do a cargo run. Make sure, 1, I didn't screw things up. 2, if it works. So let's go preview. It almost looks like it says full system update right there. It's kind of a weird, it bleeds through the screen now, but still neat. So on a blank line, actually it's if there's something past that, it's actually spaces. So if there's no spaces there, it'll bleed through. So right there, nothing, nothing, nothing. It won't show it all until you get to there or there. You see how it kind of just adds after the update? All right, cool. Oh, okay. So there's another little bug too. You have to hit escape, not Q. So over here, we could do that and then we escape out. So probably could add that as well. That's something I could do. Oh, you're working on fix on that, Pixley? Okay. Yeah, just like little things like that. I'm like, well, I think I actually, like the smaller stuff I don't mind tackling. I'm like, I think I can actually not screw that one up. So we have that. We have our Wi-Fi. What's the Wi-Fi manager? Okay, cool. Like it. Bluetooth manager. We can do Bluetooth from here now, which is cool. And then we already did the monitor control. Very neat. And then system setup, we have all that. Global themes. I think the remove snaps we added earlier, I might actually tinker around with that script a little more. Fireline. And then our applications. I do need to test out ZSH, but I don't want to do it on this machine. So overall, I like it. I think that's good. Let's switch to main. Let's come back to here. I've approved it twice now. Double approved. Let's do a reload. Just make sure nothing else got submitted, and then we'll merge. How do I make a donation on GitHub? There should be a sponsor button on all pages. Let's see. I think on LinUtil, did I add that yet? I don't think I've set up sponsors yet on LinUtil. But I think over on just my main profile here, there should be a sponsors segment where you can click it, and then you can specify however much you want to sponsor. So you can do it one time, you can do it monthly, you know, whatever you can do, I appreciate. So I let everyone just kind of pick what they want. And then the big things is the WinUtil and LinUtil is really what I use these for. And also like the LinUtil by extension, you have MyBash, NeoVim, some other ones that I kind of work on as well. But all that's good. Wait, we were single digits on the pull request. What happened? Oh, okay. 8. Okay, I was about to say, wait, 13 pull requests. I was like, no, we did not get 5 pull requests in the last 10 minutes. You should also use add turbostat. This is straight from the kernel developers. Talked about it recently. What is it? Turbostat? Report processor frequency and idle statistics. Probably if you're using an Intel chip, it's probably not a bad idea. With the 13 gens kind of running wild and then breaking. Interesting. But what's the gist of it? Just reports frequency and idle statistics. Reports processor topology, frequency, idle power state statistics, temperature, power of processors. There are 2 ways to invoke turbostat. The first is to supply a command, which is forked in statistics and printed upon its completion. The second is to emit the command, and turbostat displays statistics every 5 seconds. The 5-second interval can be changed with the interval option. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I never used turbostat. I'll have to check it out. Oh, it's from his GitHub. Okay. Refined GitHub extension adds many quality of life features to GitHub that are also good. It looks all native. Give it a try. Okay. Refined GitHub extension. Oh, Octocat. I actually use Octobox right here. Browser extension that simplifies the GitHub and adds many useful interfaces. 24,000 stars. Alrighty. Let's go. Welcome to Refined GitHub. Set the token in the options required. I'll do that off stream. And then go through. Okay. Very cool. Well, all right. I think I'm going to shut it down tonight. It's been a fun ride, y'all. I'm going to eat some dinner and then kind of hang out. Probably not look at code for a little bit. This was good, though. A little bit. Read more of my Rust book. Hit out another chapter tomorrow. And slowly getting there. Just pounding away. Did I forget to merge the PR? Oh, lordy. Did I just let it sit there? No, I merged it. No, I did. Alfonso's PR is not there. Okay. Thanks, Kang. I appreciate it, man. Yeah. Remove build directory. Oh, the build directory is actually needed. So this is actually part of our releases. So that's actually done by design for the builds. So the builds get done. It doesn't necessarily have to be this way. Technically, on the WinUtil, I removed this capability from WinUtil because the script itself and the main thing was just people were submitting it or changing it or compiling, and things were a little different, and it caused a bunch of conflicts. We finally have gotten rid of WinUtil.ps1 from being tracked from the Windows utility. A big shout out to Martin for that. He was the one. I couldn't accept his pull request on it because of how it was so intertwined with GitHub, and the PR would never resolve conflicts. So I had to do it myself. But I used Martin as a kind of the base from that commits. And we finally got rid of it. So you can actually do releases without actually having the builds in the project itself. I might do that same thing for LinUtil, but for now, I kind of like having those builds in there so I can kind of test them and just kind of mess around a little bit. I'll probably eventually remove them and do like a git ignore, and then we'll just build them direct and then submit those in its own release in the tab over here. So right now we're on 8.1. That was last week. I think actually a good point to do here is let's just do another release. Oh, we got 2 releases here actually. Oh, I don't like that at all. I'm gonna have to fix that. Probably delete this one, clean up some of these, and redo them. I just did this on WinUtil. If you look over on its project, you can see how we've cleaned up the project and many of these workflows. If we go to actions, you can see the workflows are a little bit more descriptive, and I've actually removed quite a few workflows and kind of changed that. So that's been good. Anywho. Back over here, we should have a new pre-release. Let's check our releases tab. Where's my releases tab? Oh, damn it. Did this? No, I want the releases tab. Where are you at? Fine, GitHub. Give me my releases tab back. Blasted extension. Okay, sorry. All right, releases. And this is kind of what we got. So right now we have it in like a little dev state. We'll test this out a little bit more. We had the big refactor, the floats generic for Alfonso. LJ had a bunch of commits too. And we had just like a little, like quite a bit kind of going through here. Very neat. Oh, next to actions. Okay. Alrighty. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Y'all have a fantastic evening. I will see you next Monday if I don't get a weekend stream in, which I don't think I will. My son turned 21 this week, so that's a big milestone. So go out with him and Friday. That should be fun. Yeah, I know. Damn is right. That feels weird. That feels just strange. So anyways, all right, y'all. Have a great one. Peace.